Hello and welcome to the PUBG Mobile North America Campus Series. My name is DK and with me is the awesome Span Cargo, and we will be taking you through the action here on the first day of the finals. Now Span, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I kind of can't wait to go and watch these 16 teams actually start battling it out for that last prize here because, oh my goodness, it took a long time to get to this point, so I just can't wait to get started, basically.
Yeah, well, so as we know, today is going to be quite a big day. In fact, it's going to be the first day of the finals. Now, the teams have made it all the way through over several weeks of qualifiers, straight through the semis, and now we arrive finally at the finals. And of course, what a journey this has been for the teams so far. Now, as we know, today we are going to be looking at our top teams meeting each other on the battlefield as we get to see what they'll be bringing to the table. I have to say, I'm expecting the teams to be performing at their very, very best. Now, what are your expectations coming into today?
Coming to today, I mean, there's a lot of different teams, even in the semifinals, that ended up kind of surprising me. You know, we had our eyes on a couple of teams for a while over the course of just competing before the semifinals, specifically on, you know, Vietnam Esports, V for Vendetta, and then the semifinals. Honestly, they didn't do too hot. Instead, it was other teams that ended up kind of stepping it up, like Unknown Esports, Guns and Guts, and N1Z, the Hillists. I gotta shout out at least all of those teams because they ended up doing really well in the semifinals. So honestly, coming into this, I'm kind of curious, are the teams that did well in the semifinals going to go ahead and continue to reign? Or will those teams that we saw before that go on ahead and come back in today's matches?
Yeah, I gotta say, it's been quite a bit of a back and forth between the teams performing through the qualifiers, also the performance we saw, as you pointed out, all the way over in towards the semis. And I gotta agree with you. I mean, like, I was rooting for the players coming in from HQA Club, and in the semi-finals, things were a little bit tough for them, but they did so well all the way over in towards the qualifiers. And now it is time to move into the finals to see how these teams are going to be doing. Now, is there one particular team that you're going to be keeping an eye on? Because for myself, I'm going to be keeping an eye on the players from Unknown Esports. They've actually had a pretty decent day over in towards the semis.
Pretty decent day, yeah. You know, the team got in second place with 35 points. That's an obvious choice, DK. No, just kidding. I'm teasing. Honestly, I feel like I'm gonna kind of cheat and choose 2 because there was a team that I really liked their gameplay coming in through the semifinals, and that actually was, gotta say, Guns and Guts. Like, super surprising. Like, through the qualifiers, they were kind of more on the lower side. Then coming into the semifinals, they absolutely just popped off. Like, everything that they were able to do, they got a lot of points. They're only 2 points behind the second place people. So Guns and Guts, I want to keep an eye on, and I'm still holding out hope for V for Vendetta or Vietnam Esports to go on ahead and kind of shine. So those are my answers. Those 3 I'm going to keep my eye on.
Well, we're going to have to keep our fingers crossed to see what the teams are going to be doing. And I mean, I got to kind of agree with you on Guns and Guts because we know on the first match they had in the second day of the semis, they finished off with a beautiful winner chicken dinner with 10 kills to go up alongside that. So who knows? Maybe we could see another repeat of that coming back into our first match as we jump in towards the finals to get the party started and of course underway. But speaking about maps, speaking about the battlefields, we are going to be having a quick look at our map lineup for today to see what to expect and of course which maps teams are going to be fighting it out on.
Yeah, that's the usual maps we always got to see. It's nice. I like this. I kind of like that, you know, campus series. We have 3 maps per day, and they all of the maps that are available. So we're gonna have 1 on Miramar, 1 on Erangel, 1 on Sanhok, and I just gotta say that's nice and even. You know, we got to see all of these teams compete on all the different kinds of maps. Obviously, each of them have a different kind of game style, gameplay that you really have to go ahead and be good at to do well. So I think it's nice to see that coming through from all the teams.
Well, I'm also quite curious to see what the zone is going to be doing because if we remember correctly, last time we looked over on towards Miramar when the teams were competing there, you know, things were a little bit tough on that end. We saw that zone finishing all the way up in towards Los Leones, going into that building finish. And of course, it resulted in a very tough play for a lot of the teams. Of course, you know, we just show you the proper sequence of the maps that we're going to be having, you know, just changing them up, making sure it's like the spot the difference. Right, that's what we're playing right here. We're playing Spot the Difference. So if any of you can see what the difference is between what it was and what it now is, hit us up in the chat. Let us know what differences you saw happening on the screen. But of course, we are going to be starting the day off over on towards Erangel, transitioning over in towards Miramar. And then it's time to get right down into the jungle to see what the teams are going to bring it to the table. But of course, well, it is that time. First match is about to start.
I can barely contain my excitement. Like, seriously, I mean, all these teams, we ended up getting to see a really interesting performance from the majority of these teams coming in, even in the semifinals. So coming into the finals, like this is literally where all the money lies. So we got to see how each of these teams are going to come in and perform today. I'm kind of expecting some nice aggression, some at least excitement. Hopefully all of them are coming in with that good mentality. Like, we're absolutely going to be confident and absolutely smash this. That's kind of what I'm expecting. Just from who?
Yeah, that is going to be the trick question to answer, is who's going to be the one to step up and impress Span, right? That is a challenge for the day. But of course, starting things off, we're going to have our flight path starting all the way up in towards the northern side of the map, heading right across past Malta and stopping right there on that eastern shoreline. Now already this looks to be a fairly interesting flight path. The team's having pretty decent access to a majority of the map. I think 1 or 2 locations could be a little bit more tricky to get into, positions for instance like Quarry, Primorsk over on towards that far western side, and maybe even that Sosnovka military base.
Yeah, that's probably a little bit difficult to reach, but at least this plane pass still isn't that bad, just like you said. Everybody should still hopefully be able to get into some sort of spot to be able to play, but what we do know from semifinals is that still people weren't really respecting each other's space, you know? Like, there still were a lot of contesting drop spots on every single map, and I kind of expect no less from this one. I mean, we can already see a couple of clusters going on. It looks like George Pool is definitely going to be full of at least 2 teams smack in the center of this map, though, around that school area. I think I saw at least 3 colors. Guns and Guts, whoa! Starting off really aggressive on the ace.
Well, no surprise really to see them starting this way over on towards Erangel. We saw this last week when they were having their play over in towards the semis, but now this could be a really exciting start for them. As you can see already the players here from Aces, they've taken a few hits, a few blows, but the same can be said, of course, for the players here from Guns and Guts. as we do see that finishing blow coming through, and one of the players now getting sent back into the lobby. But so far, a pretty strong start now also for the players here from the Aces.
You know, Yusuf, don't waste your bullets. Just punch them out. Yeah, no, that was a really good strong start. You can see on that mini map there, the last member kind of running away at this point. I mean, when their entire rest of your team is down, like, what do? You kind of go ahead and run away. But take a look at that. Aces, actually, they got 3 kills. We already know the 4th one's running away. They only have 3 people to begin with. So that was a 3v4 that they went on ahead and won with that hot drop. Got to be a little bit careful, though, because in the distance, we definitely saw a whole nother team kind of setting themselves up towards that Roshawk school area. So Aces, there's only 3 of them now, a little bit shaken, at least using some util. Gotta be careful.
Well, who knows? Maybe they might have an ace or 2 up their sleeves. We're gonna have to wait and see.
Oh, get out of here!
I had to. I mean, you act surprised. You act surprised, Ben. Why?
I'm not surprised. It's more every time I just get another layer of like disappointed. You know, no, I'm just I won't go that far. It's okay. Oh my goodness! Wait a second. DK, we're actually. You know, I blame that joke. That joke is what gave us this circle. I mean, look at it.
Yeah.
Is it going to be a military circle, or is it going to be one of those mean ones that go up to the mainland? Either way, it's going to stink for these teams. So I blame your sense of humor.
Okay, I'll take the blame. I'll take the blame for this one. But of course, we already see a few teams being fairly proactive. We've got the players there, I believe, the Hillist already moving on to the western side of the island, and of course the players there from Unknown taking up occupation over towards the Nova crate. So I think we're going to be seeing quite a bit of a fight coming in for control of potentially that eastern bridge. But of course, up in Roshawk, the fights are just happening. Oh, yes.
That's literally what we were kind of prefacing there. We had a feeling that this team coming out of Roshawk was going to push Aces. No way, it actually happened. Oh, it looks like they really gave them a fight, though. They got 2 knocks on the HQA club, but just based off of basic trades, I mean, Ace is not going to win that. So it looks like HQA Club got 3 kills under their belt before continuing this match. So, man, Ace is probably a little upset. They had such a strong start, getting 3 kills right off the back. They saved their drop spot, but looks like they're not going to get the luxury of playing in this military zone.
Well, I'm excited to see what HQA Club is going to be doing for the rest of the map. But of course, speaking about excitement, we have a little bit of a back and forth for the controlling position of this bridge. As we can see, B Generation Z about to lose yet another player as the hits come through. And with that, it is going to be the team from Snack Attack to gain their first kill for this match. Also, only coming in with a 3-man team. So, I mean, so far, Span, looking at how these teams are starting off the match, I think we're in for quite a bit of a surprise, as the teams have really been changing things up quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, we already said we kind of don't know what to expect since qualifiers and even semifinals were so drastically different. I mean, my hypothesis is that, of course, the consistent teams from both qualifiers and semifinals are going to go on ahead and reach the top into this finals. But, you know, that's just a guess. You can't fully say that with 100% confidence, especially when we're seeing teams like these not even have the entire 4-man stack. Like, right when you lose one player, like the way that you play the game kind of changes entirely, because just one extra person going into a fight could just call it for you just based off of, I said it before, basic trades. So seeing that a couple of these teams are kind of losing at least one member could go on ahead and come to play later in the game. And I mean, we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, yeah, we'll definitely have to wait and see how this then pans out. But of course, we have a lot of contention for that eastern bridge. We can see the teams now starting to swarm as they are prepping themselves. But I mean, if we look at 4 potential teams, I think based on what we've been seeing coming through on the qualifiers, and of course also how they've performed in the semis, if we take kind of the best of both worlds, I think we could potentially be looking at 4 or 5 teams performing exceptionally well. So that could be V4 Vendetta, Vietnam Esports, the players from Unknown Esports, as well as HQA Club. And then we'll just add in a little bit of guts and guns in there, just maybe because.
I agree with that list, yep. And the thing that's so drastically different is the first half of that list did well in the qualifiers and didn't do well in the semifinals, and the complete opposite for the second half of that list. That's just why I'm kind of like, I don't even know the word, flabbergasted, I guess we'll say. Like, I still don't even 100% know what to expect. The one thing I definitely do know and can say with 100% confidence is it looks like Hometown, they're going for a bridge camp, and that makes me kind of happy to see. They're here to play. They also will only have 3 members as well. Wow, 0 eliminations so far with this bridge camp. I mean, that could set them out on a really good path at the beginning here. They just gotta be patient.
Yeah, it all comes down to the trigger discipline and, of course, waiting for that opportune moment to strike. But I gotta say, I'm right on board with you there. You know, getting quite excited with these bridge camps coming in. Now, it's just gonna be a waiting game. Hometown, of course, now you can see Bullshark here just trying to get a lay of the land, trying to see if there's anyone potentially moving up from those northern angles. But of course, that first zone is about to come to an end. The blue zone is getting ready to close all the way up. Then we'll see where this next phase is going to be going. So do you have any potential predictions of where you think we could see that second phase moving to?
I mean, I still think it's going to be the island. Oh, no way! Hometown, I mean, they were ready for it, but not quite. Here comes HQA with full power, literally sending it straight into Jack. And it looks like One Shot can't even go on ahead and hold it either. That means it's just down to Bullshark. No way. Bullshark now the solo for Hometown against HQA. This is not looking too good. Yeah, he's just backing out of there. Hopefully he gets out there in time, but it looks like they're about to set up for a chase.
Yeah, they are indeed, as we can see a few hits already finding their way through over on towards Bullshark, and I'm liking this aggressive play coming in from HQA Club. As you can see, Aurora coming in with a hit, but with that, Chiwang lands the finishing blow. Bullshark and the rest of the players there from Hometown get sent right on back into the lobby.
Oh man, like I wasn't even ready for that. They clearly weren't either. HQA Club, they just absolutely slammed in there and just ended that completely. Aurora Sup Pig, I mean, that was insane, but it looks like maybe there could be a change coming shortly. Okay, never mind, because game changers are now kind of coming up into the area. Our humor is as cheesy as that cheese vehicle, all I gotta say. But it looks like they're starting to take a look, and actually, if you take a look at that mini-map, I see the edge of a circle. I think it already shifted. I need to know where.
Well, I think it's stuck to the far south. Yep, indeed.
It still has that bridge though. Yeah, no, like so many teams can still kind of stack up there on that northern mainland. Like N1Z, honestly, like their spot, that could be absolutely disgusting for them if they hold that correctly. If teams go towards them, that could be great. My only concern is when they actually try to go on ahead and cross the bridge, there's no team already there holding them out as well. That's why I say, ew, there's going to be a couple of teams kind of staying far away from all the action on this northern side, and that's just going to create a lot of chaos later on when this next circle goes on ahead and pops. So we'll have to see if they're going to kind of bank on staying safe to the north for now, or if they're just going to send it across early. I'm kind of banking on the former, though.
Well, we'll have to wait because, I mean, looking at the map that we can see currently, there's about 10 teams positioned in the square, with 3 teams still having to make those rotations in to just show up anywhere on the map. So that means we still have a few teams holding out all the way up in towards that blue. But of course, I mean, N1Z, they've shown some good potential coming in with that second chicken dinner just last week. Again, finishing pretty strong with 10 kills on board. So there is a little bit of faith for them. We know that they've got the competency to be able to hold their very own, whatever this zone decides to throw at them. So now it's just down to a waiting game, waiting to see where that zone is going to be shifting up towards. And of course, we'll be finding out in the next 30 seconds or so once that blue zone starts closing in. But this is where we have these rotations now starting to come in, as N1Z are looking to have themselves set up a little bit closer to the bridge. But I'm liking this point that they are not fully committing to crossing the bridge just yet.
Yeah, I like the hold on the split here. I mean, 2 on the bridge, making sure that the rest of the bridge will be safe, making sure nobody else is chilling out there. Nice stop to kind of actually going ahead and kind of scout that direction. The other 2 still in the mainland, still up on that lighthouse, actually. That's a great location and get a ton of information. So I like the hold so far. I mean, they're definitely preparing to have to go on ahead and cross the road, but they're not going to dig to it just yet. Meanwhile, it looks like the fight between HQA Club and Game Changers might actually be underway. Game Changers were encroaching on HQA Club's space, and they're finally here. So far, just exchanging some damage. Nothing big just yet, but oh, this nade could be huge.
Yes, indeed, Span. A little bit of cha-cha-cha all over the place. But of course, now, I mean, this is an interesting approach, though, coming in from the players here. As we can see them moving in a little bit of that split approach, but also HQA Club also having a very similar kind of split to them. You know, there's not a lot of uniformity in their position just yet. We do see the players here from Game Changers having 2 players right up in front, applying quite a bit of pressure now to South Big, but I'm waiting to see whether or not the rest of the players from HQA Club are actually going to try and potentially apply a bit of relief to that situation.
Kind of hope so. Otherwise, they're kind of leaving their one player kind of out there to, I don't know, bait, die? Not quite sure just yet. I mean, one of them definitely has the high ground up on top of the building, so he definitely should stay there. It's the rest, I feel like, they need to go on ahead and push up. Oh, I mean, we had a glimpse at another fight brewing, but yeah, it looks like Sup Pig, no way, actually does in fact fall. It looks like, wait a second, HQA Club ended up kind of backing away from that. The other 2 back up towards this little gas station. Yeah, you're right, that noise, the next knock comes through. It looks like they actually might be able to go on ahead and take this on with that next knock on the Game Changers.
Well, it's all going to come down to these next few moments. Of course, Bolty just holding that angle, but Bright lines up such a beautiful shot. I'm liking the stand that HQA Club is making now, just avenging their teammate that had the few hits come through. But of course, now Russell is moving in. Down he goes as well. Bright is absolutely on fire with that. Game Changers having their game changed as they are now down to potentially only 2 players.
Aurora in to save the day as well, getting the rest onto Sup Pig. It looks like the rest of Game Changers are just chilling in the compound up to the northern side. I mean, they lost half of their teammates. They weren't able to go on ahead and run down there and actually be able to help out. At this point, you know it's too late for those other 2, so you kind of have to prepare. It looks like they're kind of preparing for a defensive position right now. They're inside the blue zone, though, so what are the odds? Do you think HQA Club are going to decide to be aggressive and get those last 2 kills, or are they going to prioritize getting out of the zone?
I wouldn't be surprised if they got aggressive, right? This is a kind of approach that we've seen come from them in past matches, but it does seem like they are prioritizing the position in zone instead of trying to get overly aggressive. I mean, already they've got 8 kills on board. That is an absolute beast way to start this first match. But as we jump back over on it towards that Sosnovka military island, this is where Snack Attack and V for Vendetta are now lining themselves up to get into another engagement.
Oh man, I can't wait to see what V for Vendetta does here. I mean, we did see them, of course, in the semifinals. Didn't do too hot, I gotta say, though. So I kind of want to see them bring it back, is all I gotta say. So if they're gonna fight with Snack Attack, they better win. That's all I gotta say. Snack Attack, though, we know that they can hold their own, so it's definitely gonna be a little bit of a challenge. It looks like this 2-2 split right now might not be by design, on purpose, I guess we'll call it, but it's kind of what they have to deal with right now. And even in that little mini map there, it looks like somebody else is kind of creeping in right on the corner, so they gotta be careful. But we're still waiting for this next zone to kind of continue closing.
Yeah, I think once the next zone pops, we'll have a better idea of where the teams are going to be going. Of course, now HQA Thirst are holding over on towards the northern side, as we can see them just running onto the beaches. A few teams positioned up ahead over in the drink, just having a bit of a splash, bit of a swim. That, of course, will be the players there from Goalie Gaming. But, I mean, I'm curious to see what V for Vendetta are going to be doing, as you pointed out there, Span, because they actually have the ideal name for that.
Well, I was about to say here, it looks like HQA Thirst might have blown up Bully Gaming's boat while they were inside of it. That's my guess about what's happening right now. Now they're kind of just running around trying to figure out what to do. They obviously don't want to go towards that bridge, though, because there's a lot of people up there, the other HQA and N1Z. So kind of curious to see what Thirst is going to do. V for Vendetta, honestly, if they're being aware. They might actually be able to see Goalie Gaming kind of coming around in the water. So I'm kind of curious to see if they're going to see that happen, because they are on those rocks there, right? They should kind of be watching their northern side to make sure nobody's going to be making a rotation towards them.
Yeah, so that would definitely be a kind of a approach they could be looking towards. But now, for the time being, we're going to be watching good old Sunny here from HQA first, trying to find the approach or the angle on towards N1Z, who has pretty good controlling position on towards this bridge. But, I mean, they've already set this up quite some time ago, and it does seem like it is actually paying off quite favorably for them. But now, as the rest of the teams start making their way towards this bridge, this is where they are going to be tested to see whether they have the ability to retain control of the bridge as the shots go through. Vitamin C having a little bit of that vitamin lead fired his way.
Oh my gosh. The vitamin lead. Okay, well, we gotta see here. I mean, N1Z, they've been prepping for this entire time. So at this point, if they lose this, I'm gonna be speechless. That's what I'm gonna be, just speechless. HQA Thurs, though, they got some no kills. They tried to get kills on Goalie Gaming. That's what we ended up seeing. So it looks like they're kind of due for some kills as well, and their time is just sorely running out. This blue zone is starting to close. N1Z, though, they're very spread out along this bridge. That's kind of what HQA Thirst has going for them, right? At least they're all four together at this point. They just have to go on ahead and take down the first member of N1Z, and then they can continue to kind of roll across the rest. But they just got to get that first knock on Vitamin C.
Yeah, they're gonna have to
Vitamin C, by the way.
They're gonna have to try and pry their way back on it towards that bridge, but already a good anchor point now set up on towards the bridge as we jump a little bit further back on towards the island just to get an idea of what's happening. But look at IQ 500. He's got that position, he's got the anchor point set up in zone, so whatever happens, he is safe. And they do have a slight bit of a potentially controlling position there, but it is going to be quite a bit of a tricky play still for HQA Thirst to make as they look to get back on it towards the zone. Meanwhile, Snack Attack and V4 Vendetta are going to be swinging at each other now.
They're still going at it, still kind of hanging around. It also looks like N1Z, IQ 500 with a good spot behind, also is going to continue to spot out HQA Thirst. I mean, it kind of looks like they're trying to back away at this point. Kind of curious to see what they're kind of thinking. Maybe drive their vehicles around, maybe just full-on drive, not quite sure. Oh, they're dropping into the water, I think. I think they're just going to swim for it.
Ooh, this could be a very risky play indeed, as, I mean, N1Z, they've got the position on the bridge, they've got the vantage point, they've got the angles, and with that, they'll be able to do exactly what we see happening in the kill feed, put some more heads straight on through towards HQA Thirst. But now, it's going to come down to whether or not they'll be able to pull this one off. As you can see, a slight bit of a slower approach now coming in from the players here of HQA Thirst, not really committing to that push just yet.
No, they're swimming. They're swimming under the bridge, and that means N1Z, they have to get across as fast as possible. Oh no, Haku, I am extremely concerned right now, and that is exactly why Imperial Esports going to go on ahead and grab that immediately. I mean, it was either running to them or running straight on Nepal. Who knows? But it just was not looking good whatsoever. And actually, this is why. Wait a second. I didn't even realize there were two teams here. So straight Nepal just absolutely taking the fight with Imperial. Meanwhile, Guns and Guts, it looks like they're going to be taken out somewhere in the distance, and that building has successfully been fought over. N1Z team as well, finally sending it across this bridge. Looks like they just ran straight into another team as well. No scouting allowed.
And it's going to be absolutely brutal as the hits continue to fly on through. The players here from Unknown, who we see just in the opposite end of the valley. I mean, we saw 4 teams actually positioned up ahead there where the players from Imperial X are trying to survive, but the fighting is going to continue as we see B Generation Z now also bringing in a few hits of their very own. The Hillers also positioned over on towards the southern side. The shots continue to fly as the game changes now come under fire.
Oh, geez, yeah, and it looks like the rest is straight out of Nepal. They didn't win that building, and now they're just trying to chill out on the very southern side of this map. I mean, there's somebody else down there too, so I don't think their fighting is over whatsoever, especially because they need to go ahead and continue to push the team right in front of them. But this is finally the zone where we're going to see a ton of action. A lot of teams slowly being taken out. Game Changers will be out next. 11 teams are left, and N1Z somehow surviving this one. They still have the rest of HQA and a whole other team in the compound in front of them that they have to deal with, because again, they're not inside zone.
Yeah, and of course, as we know, we are in our 5th phase. This blue zone will wait for nobody as the Hillist. Now, I'll just quickly trying to get their numbers back up into fighting form. It's going to be Ironside and a Trickster now trying to hold on as the assault, the push comes through. We can see the players here now from Snack Attack just on the opposite end of the shack. But who will be the one to hold on? Oh, this could be a very deadly position for the Hillist. Will they be able to make it out of this? Oh, beautiful trade-off, and Snack Attack gets a clean sweep, claiming 2 beautiful lives right there. But of course, N1Z are now going to continue to roll further up in towards the zone.
Yeah, here they come. Excited to see them go on ahead and take on this fight because it looks like BU Generation Z is the next team in front of them. So far, they've been doing pretty well, staying alive and getting kills. I mean, they only have 3 so far. HQA Club still definitely at the top with their 9, but BU Generation Z, we haven't really seen them in the fight just yet. We know that they have 2 kills, but we haven't fully seen them participate in the fight. Oh man. And it looks like they're actually getting involved, a lot more teams around them. At some point, though, this zone's already closing. And the end zone here is completely out in the open. They're going to have to start getting in these fights soon to stay on top of the hill.
Yeah, they will definitely have to do exactly that. But of course, the blue zone is going to start closing on through, forcing the players forward. And with that, we can see HQA Thirst now coming under fire. As a B Generation Z has got a good controlling position on this hilltop, but the zone has shifted further down towards the south. And this is going to throw quite a few spanners in the works. As we see HQA Club actually getting eliminated. With that, we are down to our only final 9 teams.
Yeah, and it looks like at this point, even more people are kind of setting up. BU Generation Z just down to 2 people, and N1Z as well, just down to 2. So it seems like that's kind of just a stalemate for now. Neither of the teams are inside zone, though. And luckily for one of them, BU Generation Z, they're kind of in the position to hold. But as we see there, it looks like Ben, they just got to knock into one of them. So there's just 1 left. They got to get that res fast. And taking a look at that mini-map as well, there's a lot of people around the edges, specifically on that eastern side of the zone. And it is them that actually has this next circle, so they kind of have the advantage, but there's only space for 1 more team, so there's going to be a lot of fights happening at the same time in this next zone. This is definitely a kill zone once again.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely brutal, but the players here from Unknown Esports now just looking to clear up those hillsides as they are so close to the zone themselves. But of course, the Nox continuing to fly on through Imperial, having a beautiful setup over on towards this eastern side and a beautiful lay of the land to add to that. Now, N1Z, see them positioned up ahead. They're going to try and have to make that play to get back up into the security, rather, of the zone. We can see 3 teams already having secured their spots. But who's going to be the next team to move in? As you say, Span, this is going to be a kill zone, a kill play, and it's going to be absolutely brutal.
And I have a feeling Imperial Esports, they're kind of in the perfect position to see literally everything. They have that building that can see everybody except maybe the team just down to their southern side, straight out of Nepal, of course. But it looks like HQA Thirst is going to be the next team eliminated slowly but surely. This northern side is just becoming just a battlefield, just a graveyard at this point. And the next zone actually revealed itself, and Imperial X no longer has the safety of the very edge of the zone. They're going to have to be the next ones to move. They keep switching between them having the power and the team just to their north, Unknown Esports, kind of having the power.
Oh, yeah, definitely the players are getting called all over the place. But Unknown, as you said, they've got good numbers, but they've only had 1 kill so far. Who knows? Maybe they'll be able to find several more, as there's still quite a few players remaining. Of course, the players here from Imperial X position over on towards that eastern side of the zone are now trying to just thin them out. They're keeping a very watchful eye, but they still need to get up in towards the zone. In fact, we don't see any team really having a secure position.
Nope, it's just the open side of a hill. It's not ideal whatsoever, but it looks like Shannon Nepal will be the next team eliminated. That means we're down to the final 4. At this point, any fight that pops up could potentially be the last. Looks like Sanhok Attack going on ahead and getting in another fight. N1Z team will be the next one out, so that leaves 3 teams left. It's going to be, of course, Imperial X Esports, Unknown Esports, and Snack Attack. There's not too many for each of these teams left, except actually one of them only has 2 up, and the rest are complete formats, except Blame. Sam, beautiful aim, just took down 1 from Unknown.
Well, Imperial X really just looking to dial up the aggression, taking such beautiful positions as they rush their way forward into the zone already. The rest of the opposing teams suffering quite a few casualties. As you can see, Unknown still holding on to all. Blame, of course, taking quite a bit of a beating up ahead. But now this is where we're going to be looking to see what the players from Imperial X are going to be doing. Sam now, of course, getting knocked right on down as the pressure keeps on being applied. But Snack Attack holding on to their final 2 players, positioned over on towards the western side. But the zone is not making things easy for anybody here.
No, but especially as toxicity goes down for Unknown, that means it's just Peaceful and Terran left. So it's only two men left. Let's see if Unknown Esports might be able to get these reses, though. Imperial X seem to have kind of slowed down at this point. These smokes definitely doing their job by providing the cover for Unknown Esports to be getting these reses. Looks like 2 reses happening at the same time. If they get off these first aids, they could completely flip this around. They gotta be careful though, because the smoke is dissipating. No way, one goes down once again.
Ooh, and it's not going to be stopping anytime soon, as we can see now the players here from Imperial X looking to make a bit of a comeback here. They are on the lower end of this hillside, and it's going to be a really tricky play to get to the top, as we can see the players there from Snack Attack as well as Unknown just looking to set up a bit of dominance. But up comes that first rush coming in now from Imperial X. King has been spotted. Monday creeping ever closer. Now starting to cook up the nades, but takes a little bit of damage. Sends one out. Is going to be the one to close it up. Yes, Monday picks up King, but now Monday is trying frantically to get up ahead. That blue zone, the zone is shrinking in. Look at this. Unknown Esports right there alongside them.
And unfortunately, Monday is now the last one up for their team. Those teammates just went down in no way. The 2 little snakes creeping around in the grass. Looks like they go head to head, and it's not going to go in Snack Attack's favor. So it's officially down to the 2 teams that had the majority of the people still alive just a moment ago. It's going to be Imperial X Esports versus Unknown Esports. I believe they each are down to a 3v3. Yeah, it is. So we just got to wait and see at this point what's going to happen. It just comes down to trades. Peaceful, really close to one of the members of Imperial X Esports, and right as I say that, he actually gets the knock.
Oh man, this could be the turning point for Unknown. The next shot comes through onto 12, and with that, Unknown sweep in, claiming the first chicken of the day, finishing with 6 kills on board. Absolutely beautiful performance coming in there from Unknown Esports. Magic we saw happening on the screen right there.
And man, I mean, you called it. They were the team that was basically in first place coming out of semifinals. They ended up with 35 total points, and just from that one match, that's definitely going to be a good amount of points for them, needless to say. So not surprised to see that. I was excited to see a couple of those teams that we had mentioned previously as well kind of get into the end game there, but that was a really hard zone to be able to actually get a chicken dinner off of, just completely out in the open. And gotta say, Unknown kind of played that near perfect. They still had 3 alive at the end.
Yeah, really exceptional performance coming in from them. But also, we got to look at the performance coming in from the players there of Imperial X. I mean, they held their own all the way through, put in a decent amount of kills, just played the zone so beautifully. I mean, even Snack Attack, they held on all the way to the very end. And I mean, they finished off, I believe that was with 9 kills on board, if I'm not mistaken. So some pretty strong numbers coming in here. I'm curious to see what that leaderboard now looks like. This is going to be our first leaderboard for the finals. The team's really putting up an absolutely beautiful performance, and I'm quite excited to see what the rest of the day will have in store for us.
I can't wait to see as well, but this is our leaderboard. Of course, we knew that Unknown Esports was going to be at the very top with the most amount of points so far, 21 in fact, and actually, it's not Imperial X Esports that's in that second spot. They got second in terms of placement, but Snack Attack actually grabbed second overall because of the sheer amount of kills that they were able to pick up. So they're in second with 19. Imperial not too far behind though with 17. Of course, got a shout out N1Z team with 11, HQA Club with 10 as well. That was a really good game for the majority of these teams towards the top, but gotta say it does drop off rather quickly afterwards.
Yeah, it does really look a little bit scarce with regards to points there, but I mean, absolute runaway performance by our top 5 teams, and a really good foundation they are setting up for themselves here in this first day. First match done and dusted. Now it is time to get ready to move on to the next. But of course, before we do that, we need to take a look at who our MVP team is going to be here. Now, this is going to be a difficult one to predict because we've had so many teams playing such strong gameplay here.
Oh, actually, Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised to see this. I don't think this is what I was just gonna say. Maybe it's gonna be our winners, but it's not actually. HQA Club gonna go on ahead and come through. Our winners actually was just shy of 1,000 damage. HQA Club here, they had 2,010. That is an insane amount of damage. 9 kills, 8 assists. Yeah, that is definitely an MVP team for our first match. I mean, honestly, that damage is very high for the amount of kills that they were able to get, but that still is nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, definitely an absolutely amazing performance. It's sad that they didn't make it all the way through into that final zone, but I mean, Span, this was such a difficult zone for the teams really to play in, and I think that is the beauty of when the zone shifts down towards that southern island. It really just throws not only a spanner in the works, but I think sometimes a whole entire toolbox, you know, just to add on to that. But of course, speaking about toolboxes and difficulties, and I'm not quite sure where the segue is going, but of course we are going to be having a look to see who our MVP player is, as I think there's been also quite a few of them stepping up at Bright. We saw that beautiful consistency coming in as the hits were just so relentless in those early few phases.
I mean, that's in the same transition as well. Conversion. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. 4 kills for 750 damage. Again, a ton of damage for the amount of kills that Bright was able to grab. That makes sense, I guess, how they got that MVP team as well. I mean, they're just all seem to have done a ton of damage. Bright, though, going away with the majority of them. They got 4 kills out of the 9 that they were able to grab. So that was, Bright played that really well for their team.
Yeah, I mean, Bright just shining bright there on this first match, but of course we still have several more matches to come, not only for today, but for the finals in general. And I mean, this is going to be so interesting to see how the teams are going to be performing here, because whatever they lacked in that first match, they're going to have to try and make it up in the next 2 coming matches, as there's only so much time they have and so many opportunities for them to try and gain and potentially close any of those gaps that they feel that they could be lacking in. Now, based on what we've seen so far and the complete unpredictability of what we've been having so far, do you think we're going to be having another surprise performance coming through as we head into that second match?
I mean, definitely. I mean, we just can't really predict where the hot drops are really going to come from. Of course, these teams have their usual drop spots, but there have been hot drops every single match that we've seen in this campus series. So I don't think we can 100% predict it, namely the hot drops and who's going to come out on top. But I definitely think we're probably going to see a couple of the same team names towards the end of the match once again.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what exactly will be happening. But of course, we are going to be jumping into a very quick break. So be sure to stay tuned. We'll be back after a short few minutes with that second match.
I'ma say all the words inside my head. I'm fired up and tired of the way that things have been. Oh, ooh, the way that things have been. Oh, ooh. Second thing, second, don't you tell me what you think that I can be. I'm the one at the same. I'm the master of my sea. Oh, ooh, the master of my sea. Oh, ooh. I was broken from a young age, taking my soul into the masses, writing my poems. took to me, shook to me, feeling me, singing my heartache. From the pain, taking my message. From the veins, speaking my lesson. From the brain, seeing the beauty through the pain. You made me a believer. Pain. I let the bullets fly, I let them rain. My love, my God, they came from burning thirst and the prayer to the ones up above. All the hate that you've heard has turned your spirit to a dove. Oh, ooh, your spirit up above. Oh, ooh. Thirst and the prayer to the ones up above. All the hate that you've heard has turned your spirit to a dove. Ooh, your spirit up above. First things first, I'ma say all the words inside my head. I'm fired up and tired of the way that things have been. Oh, ooh, the way that things have been. Oh, ooh. Second thing, second, don't you tell me what you think that I can be. I'm the one at the same. I'm the master of my sea. Oh, ooh, the master of my sea. Oh, ooh. I was broken from a young age, taking my soul into the masses, writing my poems for the few that looked at me, took to me, shook to me, feeling me, singing my heartache. From the pain, speaking my message. From the veins, speaking my lesson. From the brain, seeing the beauty through the pain. You made me a believer. Pain. I let the bullets fly, I let them rain. My love, my God, they came from burning thirst and the prayer to the ones up above. All the hate that you've heard has turned your spirit to a dove. Oh, ooh, your spirit up above. Oh, you were the shadow to my light. Did you feel? And now the star, you fade away. Afraid our aim is out of sight.
Hello and welcome back. If you guys missed it, we are off to an absolutely beautiful start to the finals. Match 1 was absolutely on fire. Now, Span, we're getting ready to move into the second match, and I've got to say I'm pretty excited to see what the teams are going to be bringing in here, because if we look back to what we've seen historically, Unknown Esports, they have shown some pretty good consistency on Miramar. The same, of course, can be said for the players there from N1Z, but there's 3 teams I'm going to be looking towards to hopefully see them step up and bring in a little bit of a stronger performance. Of course, that would be Guns and Guts, Hometown, and Vietnam Esports, as we saw them getting those, as you said, the donuts in our first match.
Yeah, not a too great of a performance for some of the teams that we needed to keep an eye on. One of them, in fact, yeah, being Guns and Guts, they're one of the ones that did get a donut. So now we gotta see if they're gonna be able to step it back up. There's only 2 more matches today and then only 3 more tomorrow. That's not too many matches to go on ahead and correct or fix up the mistakes that you made. You really can only have 1 bad game coming into these finals. And unfortunately for Guns and Guts, they already used theirs. So now coming into these next 2 today, we got to see them towards the top of that leaderboard for these next 2 matches.
Yeah, so I'm expecting to see Miramar be pretty difficult for these teams, as we know there's a lot of these teams that rather have shown some pretty good potential. I mean, as we've been talking about this already, they've really stepped it up in the qualifiers. Moving into the finals, we saw completely different teams grabbing the titles there, and now again, it looks like the teams have started to even it out a little bit more. We have that strong consistency from what we had in the qualifiers, now mixing with what we saw in the semi-finals. And man, I gotta say, I don't really have any predictions moving into Miramar, as it could still swing either which way. But I can tell you it's going to be very interesting to see who will be the team to grab the winner chicken dinner at the end of this match.
I mean, I don't disagree. I think there's going to be quite an interesting amount of fighting that is happening. I mean, let's go take a look at those matches once again, just as a reminder for everybody. And Man, just going into Miramar, I mean, obviously the only thing that we could talk about really is the gameplay, right? We know that Miramar completely different than Erangel. I mean, of course, it's still a big map, but what it is it's a lot higher in terms of the terrain. You can see a lot further. There's going to be quite a lot more long-range fights, and is my guess, going on to Miramar. So which teams are going to come out on top of that, I guess, is what we're going to have to figure out going into this match.
Well, of course, speaking about figuring out, as you've pointed out there, we are going to be having a quick look at the maps of the day, just to remind everyone as to where we are, where we still need to go. And of course, we've already finished up on Erangel. We are now heading over in towards Miramar, which will be followed shortly by a little bit of that jungle action over on towards Sanhok. But now, as we step up into the desert to see what the teams are going to be bringing to the table, this is where I have some pretty high expectations, because I mean, I was rather very surprised with the amount of teams that stepped it up on Erangel. I mean, absolutely surprised performance, some really good aggression coming in from a lot of these teams, and I think that will kind of, roll over on towards Miramar. As I mean, you can see these teams are eager and hungry to perform at their utmost best here today.
I don't disagree. Another team that I'm going to go on ahead and actually shout out, saying that I want to see a little bit more from, and is Team Goalie, if I do say so myself. In this last match, we did see them kind of get trapped in the water. From there, I think it was kind of hard to recover getting out of there, because the entire coast was just completely crowded with enemy teams. Now, coming to Miramar, kind of want to go on ahead and keep an eye on them and see how they're going to perform, because Team Goalie, I mean, don't get me wrong, coming into qualifiers, they're definitely a force to be reckoned with, but the same with a couple of other teams. During semifinals, they didn't do the best, not the worst either, but they definitely had a lot of room to improve upon. So I kind of want to see if, coming into these last two matches of this first day of finals, if they're going to go on ahead and kind of bring back some of that qualifier fire that they kind of missed this past weekend.
Well, we definitely know that they do possess, a bit of that fire. As you pointed out, qualifiers, they finished up in 5th place for their particular week in which they were playing. But yeah, I mean, the next one is going to be, this next match is where it's going to be at, because I mean, if we look at the performance we saw coming in on the semis, they only accumulated a grand total of 8 points, and so far for today they're sitting on 1 point. So yeah, who knows, maybe this could be the match in which we see them actually step up. But I'm curious to see whether or not they're going to be heading over in towards Monte Nuevo, as we know that is one of the spots they like to actually frequent. And so it all, I guess, depends on where that flight path is going to be going, where the zone is going to be forming, and what these teams will be doing with that.
Oh man, especially when it comes to the hot drops. This is another thing that we have to go ahead and keep in mind. I know we keep bringing it up, but we kind of have to, because every single map, there's some sort of a hot drop that comes into play, and Miramar is not going to be any different. I mean, just from the get-go, one team could just be completely shut down. Monte Nuevo definitely being an area that is pretty contested, so we got to keep an eye on them, see if they're going to be able to kind of bring it up in this next one, or if they're kind of going to fall short, which nobody wants at that point, because we said it before, 3 games per day is not that many. So we gotta see. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. I feel like how to play these games really is to be pretty passive, trying to get into that end game, but we've actually been seeing a lot of aggression, which is always nice to see. But oh man, here comes the cinematic. DK, that means we're starting soon.
Yeah, it is time to get excited, as we're about to hop straight on into the dusty dunes of the ever lovely Miramar. And of course, I mean, I gotta say, these scenic shots look so nice. I really wish this was the place we could actually go to, right? Obviously, you take a lot of sunscreen and several umbrellas, and some of the spray bottles just to ensure that we don't really melt away. But of course, the teams are going to give us a little taste of that desert action, as we are just waiting on that flight path to see where exactly they are going to be heading up into. And of course, whether or not they're going to be sticking to the usual drop locations.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, but not for long. There we go. The plane in the distance should be popping up shortly, and Yeah. Okay, I like this. I like this. It looks like, once again, kind of the opposite plane path from what we saw in Erangel is sail big diagonal over across the mainland of this Miramar land. That means a lot of these teams will still be able to nicely kind of spread out. Again, not really being able to jump towards those extremes. Campo Militar, Valdemar, Municipal, probably out of reach, but still a lot of locations for these teams to go.
Yeah, I even think a place like Jumasera could also be a little bit out of reach from the flight path itself. But as we know, the teams are not, they don't scave away from hopping into those vehicles and repositioning themselves in a little bit more of an advantageous position. But I mean, the next thing we're going to wait for is to see where, of course, that zone is going to be forming up onto. But I'm pretty sure we've got several satisfied teams here, as you pointed out. This flight path, a really decent one.
Yeah, and as you can see, a lot of teams starting to jump out. Looks like Imperial X going down towards Puerto Paraiso. Ooh, it looks like B Generation Z going Impala. And that gamble paid off, because take a look at that zone. It'll actually pull right towards them. So those who jumped early on in the plane are going to be quite happy about this. Those who decide to wait, I mean, they're just going to have to be going ahead and rotate on in. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some sort of extreme come through. HQA actually jumping last. Looks like they're going towards that El Pozo area with an enemy team with them. Game changers. Whoever wins, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a big northern rotation coming in towards the top of this zone, or even completely opposite, big southern rotation, because just going straight in at where they currently are might not be a good idea, just because of how many teams would be in front of them.
Well, yeah, definitely is going to be quite a bit of a challenge, but I got to say, I mean, PUBG is definitely not making today easy for any of these teams, as we keep on seeing these extreme zone shifts coming on through, and the teams having to try and adapt to that. But already, this could maybe be that match in which we see Goli Gaming stepping up, really trying to pick up the players there from Aces, as they are still parachuting down onto the surface. But of course, Zeus now having quickly to try and grab an extra bit of additional ammunition there before getting committed to this fight. But this could be the ideal opportunity, the ideal moment actually for Goli Gaming to strike, because we know Aces, they don't have much just yet.
Oh man, I'm excited to see how some of these fights are going to be happening, kind of breaking off in these further away areas. Looks like Goli Gaming actually going to be one of the teams that will in fact be safe. We were going to keep an eye on them to see if they were going to get an early fight. And it looks like the answer is no, not entirely being able to go on ahead and make a big rotation towards some sort of enemy team. They're not going to be in Monte Nuevo, but honestly, the plane path was a little bit too far away. So instead, they found themselves a little bit of a closer, better space for now. And we saw them getting shot at by an enemy team. That's why we had to kind of see Mr. Lala healing up, but they're able to just get out of there.
Yeah, and it all comes down to trying to secure some decent loot, and a fairly good position to get that loot going through in the early game. But of course, we still are sitting here with 15 teams, 49 players. I mean, this is a beautiful position actually to be in, as this could swing either which way, especially with the zone now sitting in a position that it's in. I mean, the teams have quite a bit of distance to cover, especially the ones who landed a little bit further up on towards that western side. But of course, if we look onto the players here, for instance, of Goli Gaming, they've got almost 2 kilometers to go. So I think we're going to be seeing quite a bit of a congestion, especially coming into, for instance, the side there of Los Leones.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we're gonna see Goli, Aces. We're gonna see just basically all the teams. Hillis kind of holding out in Picata right now. I mean, everybody's slowly taking that main road there towards the very middle of the map. That's gonna be a very easily congested spot, especially since Los Leones actually already has 2 teams inside of it. So if these teams kind of gotta realize where other people would have to drop based off this last plane path, and then kind of go ahead and bank their rotations off of that. But we'll just have to wait and see if these guys' guesses are going to be correct or incorrect. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a ton of these teams kind of running into each other, because it's kind of like a domino effect, right? They kind of, all the teams closest to the zone are going to be leaving first, because they kind of have been looting first since they got to jump out of the plane early, and they're obviously going to be moving closer to the zone a little bit sooner since they're right next to it. But if anybody before them kind of goes out of turn and starts moving a little bit too early, they could be running into each other, and I feel like there's a lot of chance of that happening.
Yeah, it definitely could be a thing. But speaking about dominoes, right now, I'm curious to see if we're gonna have that zone potentially moving down towards that southern side. Because I mean, the last time we had the teams playing over on towards Miramar, it was a pretty brutal finish. Moving into Los Leones, getting into those city fights, absolutely challenging for all the teams as they made their way on through. But for now, they do seem to be rather safe for the time being as we're waiting for that second phase to start making its way on in. And of course, now the players here from straight out of Nepal are going to be venturing a little bit further forward, but Fluffy might be running up into Peaceful right about now. Oh, wait. Ooh.
Oh, poor Peaceful.
Yeah, I think he took the peaceful approach to that fight. Choosing.
Sorry, didn't even
not
turn
to-
around.
Yeah. You know, that's how you take the peaceful approach. You know, just stand there and you're like, you know what, it's fine. I'm not going to shoot at you. You know, let's just do this and get it done and over with. But yeah, a good start now for Fluffy. First kill on board for the team. And maybe the first of many more to come.
First blood just for the entire match as well. I mean, that's pretty amusing. Unfortunate for Unknown Esports, but I guess at this point we know that they're that first place team right now. So, you know, maybe this is kind of leveled the playing field. I'm just trying to make light of that unfortunate situation. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, obviously we know that they still have at least 3 other members still alive. So kind of curious to see if the rest of Unknown Esports are going to be kind of able to pull off the performance that they had last match into this match as well with one less player.
Well, who knows? I mean, there are endless possibilities to come in this match, but yeah, especially going to be looking over on towards our 3 teams we can see sitting on the not so favorable side of the overall standings. Meanwhile, the hitless are going to be the hitless rather. The hitless are going to be looking to make their way on through. Not quite sure why that was happening, but either way, here we are, just minus a letter. Now, of course, HQA on the approach. Once again, we saw HQA Club Aurora off in the distance. So, this is definitely going to be quite exciting as the teams continue to push closer and closer to that zone. A little bit of a nice hang time coming in there, but the rest of the team now also heading on through. Who knows where they could go?
Not quite sure just yet. I mean, obviously they're just going to be waiting for this next zone to close. They don't have too much longer to wait, but they do at least have to get a little bit of a foothold inside of this next zone to kind of set themselves up. It looks like the hit list actually nice. Found themselves a good compound right beside Bandita. That's kind of in that kind of center area of this zone. So the hit list, they're kind of going to be set up at least until this next zone shift, I gotta say. From there, they just want to scout on in to see where this next zone would pop. Looks like N1Z team as well has a pretty good spot right beside them. They're actually going to continue to spread out. Right now, this is where you really can get greedy, I gotta say. Because, you know, if you know that you're the only kind of a couple of teams up here on the eastern side, you can go ahead and start taking some pretty crazy splits right now. Wait a second. The hit list, are they driving towards that compound we just saw the other team leave from? Oh no. I'm like terrified. I think they drove right by it, actually, if I do say myself. Yeah, they drove right by it. Yeah, no, here it is. They're completely on top of it. N1Z team not ready for that at all. They sent half of their team away.
Well, this could be a beautiful opportunity now for the hit list to mark a few more players off, but also N1Z not really a team to mess with, as we can see IQ 500 rather coming in with a beautiful, well-placed nade, and is now a 3v4 situation in favor of N1Z. Of course, the quick rush coming up the stair, the confirm coming on through, and N1Z now looking to assert a certain level of dominance, but it does seem like the hit list are actually trying to get the heck out of there.
I mean, they'll probably just continue driving thinking that this was open, didn't quite 100% scout it out because N1Z team was already there. To be fair, there's only 2 of them there, a little bit harder to spot 2 people rather than 4, but gotta say, N1Z being able to have their 2 other teammates come back that quickly, that was really good for them to be able to fully succeed on that fight against the hit list. Now they kind of have to drive away at this point and see if they can survive. Oh no, vehicle troubles. You hate to see it. Looks like Hometown having a little bit of issues with their truck, but I mean, luckily they were able to kind of just wedge it out of there before they continue going. At this point, I mean, you just have to try and get the best position that you can find and see how long you can survive in this. Oh, and actually dodge some shots coming through from Snack Attack.
Well, Snack Attack is going to be looking to get that sneak attack right onto the players there from straight out of Nepal. As you can see, several knocks already finding its way through. Of course, Chiwang there from HQA Club also getting knocked on down. But this could be quite a strong position actually now for them, straight out of Nepal, looking to make a bit of a stand. Chiwang still just creeping up in the distance. They're trying to find a potential position to pull up into as the rest of the team moves a little bit closer, but this is where things are going to get pretty spicy. As we can see, we got N1Z, we got the Blazer HQA Club, as well as straight out of Nepal. And then, of course, we got the players here from Snack Attack. So 4 teams position here, looking to fight it out, get that controlling play.
Oh man, they're kind of out in the open here. I mean, don't get me wrong, this shack is a pretty nice place to play, especially on that slight little hill there. They should be able to have a couple of good sight lines on some of the teams and the compounds around them, but it's still pretty out in the open, so they're gonna have to kind of be careful at that location, making sure that nobody else will really get onto their eastern side to kind of take advantage of them. But you can kind of see that some of these other teams a little bit further away, they're also already trying to peek on over. HQ8 Club, beautiful location. This is a good spot for them to have. I'm a little bit surprised to see where Bright is, because usually when you see people kind of play that little jump area on that road, there isn't one this far out in these little hay bale huts. But it looks like Bright, he's kind of doing that for a little bit of a different angle, which is interesting to see.
Well, it's going to have to make quite a bit of a stand there, as we saw the rest of the team taking quite a few hits already. But the sub-big now just managing to get back up into fighting form. The same, of course, going now for Aurora. So this could be that bounce back play for them. But N1T is mobilizing as they go rushing forward right on towards Bright. But a beautiful coverage coming in from Chiwang.
I mean, they had probably identified a solo was there, but no way. No way. They definitely identified that it was a solo. They thought it'd be easy peasy, but the rest HQA Club were just waiting right beside them. That is not a good situation for Vitamin C here. Now the last one out for N1Z team. He kind of has to chill out here in this big compound all by himself. Let's see if he'll be able to protect it. If the zone does go that way, that solo won't be in looking too good. And yeah, that sound of pain. Mr. Trix almost didn't get out of there.
Yeah, but of course, unfortunately, Mr. Trix has several tricks up their sleeve as the grand escape gets pulled off, moving up into the safety of the fuel station here. But this is quite a bit of a risky rotation we actually saw coming in from them. There's a team from straight out of Nepal now continue to head further south. Mr. Vitamin C, they're making a quick rotation as well. Looking to see if they could maybe secure a decent position. Ooh, a little bit of an up and down, but it does seem to be a clean escape. Oh, but not just yet. The shots continue to fly, moving from one team right into the scopes of the next.
Well, clearly identified the compound that they were at is not a good place for a solo to be, so they're just going to go ahead and leave immediately. Can't go on ahead and kind of knock them for that. Meanwhile, the rest of these teams slowly making their moves. Kind of curious to see where these next zone is going to pop. It should be within a couple of seconds. You can kind of see that on the little timer bar there. And obviously, by taking a look at Team Aces here, there's a couple teams that are just on the edge still. They're still just getting inside of this next circle. So they're going to be driving in right now, and they're probably just going to keep on driving based off of where this next zone pops. And oh, we're gonna actually be able to see it going ahead and happen live. So Vitamin C was in the very center of the map. That's where he was aiming for, and now it actually pulls up towards the north, back up towards Impala. A lot of teams still need to make it inside this new zone.
Yeah, but already the players there from BU Generation Z, they've taken our position on those hilltops, and that could actually be quite a favorable angle for them to be holding. But of course, Snack Attack find themselves smack dab center zone with the hit list right there behind them. And this is going to be quite interesting as the teams are going to be playing partially in the open field. We can see up towards that northwestern side, and the rest of the map is either hills or it is going to be a slight tad bit of that city finish. But of course, we have that big migration now coming through. And meanwhile, the game changers are going to be looking to apply the pressure straight on towards the players here now from HQA first, as yet another hit comes through, and we see Leo just off in the distance. But this blue zone is going to start ticking away at these health bars, just ever so slightly, of course, increasing from a tickle to almost a scratch.
I mean, that was a really nice usage of the vehicle explosion there to kind of get that person out of their way. There we go, the flush will come through as well. And now they actually have a clear opening into this zone. The rest of the teammates just had to keep going at that point because there's definitely no use in attempting to turn around because it's just over at that point. There's nothing that they can really do. The entirety of Game Changers just breathing down their necks, kind of falling right behind them. You just gotta keep moving at that point. And they're gonna keep on driving too, as haphazardly as they are, because the zone arches away from them. So they're going to be kind of one of the last teams, gotta say, getting into this zone. And that might come with a variety of challenges in itself. We'll have to see who's kind of holding the edge of the zone in front of them already.
And of course, we still have 15 teams remaining with 50 players alive, and Russell... and the rest of the team here from Game Changers are having a little bit of an interesting play. As Raiden and Balti also just they're on a roll, they just making their way, trying to get into decent position. Goldie also up ahead, just trying to clear the way. But looking at V for Vendetta, they find themselves in a very interesting position, just utilizing this valley they have at their disposal with several teams surrounding them.
Yeah, just to the southern side of Impala. They're just beside the gas station, actually. There's a pretty nice bowl in here that they can play out of. The only thing that I'd be a tiny bit worried about is any angles if people play that northeastern side, because that entire little valley that they have is actually pretty much out in the open. The good thing about this spot is it is kind of in the center, and people kind of have to go to you if they want to start a fight. So hopefully that'll help them out on any fights that do go to them, but we'll just have to wait and see. Meanwhile, all the space around them slowly being filled in, including the team that we said that we want to keep an eye on, Guns and Guts, right at the compounds beside them. They didn't do so well last match, so this match they really have to step it up.
Yeah, they definitely will have to step it up, but of course, the team's now just looking to fortify their positions. We have a little bit of a flyby coming through there. You can see another team it happens so quickly, but of course, it is going to be Mr. Lala and the rest of the team up ahead, just looking to find their own position. But, I mean, man, this zone is not going to get any easier from this point forward. I mean, we're about to hop into that fourth phase. We're going to see where the next phase is going to be taking us. And we still have 50 players in here. Now, it looks like the zone has just shifted a slight tad bit further up towards the northern side. And now this is where the hustle is going to be so important for these teams.
Oh no, HQ Aether's getting their tires kind of stuck there as well. I mean, I do have to say though, seeing all these teams come from the very edge of the zone, there are a couple of teams that are clearly taking a little bit more of a passive approach. You know how we kind of discussed, are they going to be a little bit more passive since there are only 4 matches in a day, or are they going to be a little bit more aggressive? Passive is definitely the answer for, I gotta say, at least half of these teams, but Leo, he's just absolutely sending it. This is kind of a little bit bigger of a rotation than I ever was expecting, starting all the way from the southern side of the zone, and he actually made it so far, completely surrounded, but he's still there.
Yeah, well, Lilio just bulldozing their way up in and towards Impala. The rest of the team now hot on the heels, but we still see one of the players here actually from HQA first, positioned down in towards that far southern side as Leo now gets knocked out and is about to get posted as BU Generation Z are looking to fortify the position up on the hills. Golly Gaming, of course, up ahead as we can see Mr. Lala now, just avoiding some of the gunfire. But look at this, man. I mean, now the entirety of Impala is open for the teams to move into. At least City finish as well. I can't English today. Is so difficult, especially on Miramar. We saw that last time around, and it looks like we could potentially be having it once again.
Impala is just a whole nother beast as well. No, I think we cursed them. Guns and Guts, first of all, being eliminated in 15th place once again. But the second thing I will say is Impala is kind of a little bit of a different city than what we're used to as well, because it is really spread out for a city. Like, there's a lot of really big roads in between these buildings that people are allowed to spot them out. But city endings, usually the amount of teams kind of just cram themselves into the cities. And 14 teams still alive, that's going to be a ton of teams making their way on in. Look, even Imperial X Esports making their way along the northern side of the zone, they just found themselves in towards the northern tip of Impala. That's what we're kind of expecting the rest of these teams to find themselves doing as well. And that means this match is going to be going for quite a while as they're figuring out these buildings.
Oh, but I can see B1, BU Generation Z, they are going to be a thorn in the side for a lot of these teams. As I think this heel position is such a beautiful angle to be holding. But of course, up comes Goalie Gaming. They're also making their rush, coming in right alongside 12. As the players here from Imperial X are trying to lay down the law. But look at this though. I mean, the B Generation Z just capitalizing on the position. But now they've got to move from there as the zone has shifted up once again.
Out of the city it goes. Honestly, love to see it, except the fact that this zone is actually 10 times more difficult, if I can so boldly say that, because it does have the little bit of the road there, the road kind of being a little bit of shelf. Otherwise, the entire other side of that road completely out in the open. There are a couple of dips, but otherwise it's just big open plain fields. So N1Z team, that'll be the next one eliminated. At this point, this is where we're going to be seeing a lot of fights happen on the outskirts of this zone, because just playing inside of it is just not an 100% viable solution. So we can already see the hit list kind of moving on closer. They should honestly just start taking the fights with the teams inside of Impala, because going any further than that is definitely going to be a bit difficult. But we can see Ironsight actually still going for it anyway. It looks like he's kind of going to be the first person in there.
Oh, wow. So much congestion now on the edges of Impala. As you can see, BU Generation Z looking to make their way on down. Imperial X right up ahead of them, but right behind them, there's so many more teams in position. So this is going to be quite a bit of a challenge. As you can see, Mario now trying to see whether or not they can find these angles on towards Imperial X. But Imperial X just huddling down, getting stuck into those compounds. Beautiful defensive players. Ayush gets taken right on down. And with that, BU Generation Z now gets reduced to 3, but also Imperial X losing another player. Viraj also getting taken down.
Oh yeah, another one goes down to BU Generation Z. I mean, they came off that mountain with a purpose, it seems. They do have to go on ahead and get that res onto their teammate and healing up, because they are pretty low. And unfortunately, though, for them, the fight is not over. They did start fighting some people right on the outskirts of this circle. And just take a look at that mini map. I mean, it's just so congested. There's just no space whatsoever to actually find a spot inside of this zone. Really, that one member of the hit list just sending it on in there with the buggy. Honestly, great move. The next team in the best spot is, of course, Aces. Look at Yusuf here, 100% just taking advantage of it immediately.
Ooh, Mario running straight up into that knock, and with that, BU Generation Z now down to only one, but a beautiful nade getting sent across the hit list, getting eliminated. The teams are now starting to drop like flies. Shadow trying to get those meds in. Of course, Cloudy up ahead here for smack attack, but up comes Kabir for V4 Vendetta, lays down the law, and with that, picks up a beautiful play as well. Now, 8 teams remain as the numbers keep on dwindling. Aces, of course, now caught right on the edge of zone, trying to finish up BU Generation Z. With that, the hit goes through. Game Changers also now getting eliminated, and we are down to only 6 teams here, Span.
And look at that, the zone decides to move even further away from the city, over towards the western side, the northwestern side specifically, it goes again. So anybody, if there's any kind of people still hanging out on this edge here, no more. As you can see, Lovely getting punished out for a member from V for Vendetta. The rest of V for Vendetta safely across the other side of the road. That means, honestly, straight in Nepal. Oh man, this is a little bit of a scary situation for them, especially because it looks like a ton of other teams starting to get involved as well. I mean, right when you hear a third party, you obviously want to get involved, because that is a lot of potential points that you can grab for yourself. And Goalie kind of identifying the ideal strategy, also just sending it on in, grabbing the edge of that zone.
Well, but the players here from Ace is just farming those kills. But of course, now we look to the players from HQA Club positioned in a very strong angle over on towards the western side. But absolute carnage now as the teams continue to run for the zone. V for Vendetta getting eliminated. 4 teams now remain, and it is only going to get crazier from this point forward. We can see the players there from Unknown up ahead. Also, Goalie Gaming and Team Aces still having it to try and secure a decent position. Fortunately, as the numbers have not dropped down, they can really start to utilize all these ridges and valleys they have at their disposal.
Time to just wait and see, though. Oh, just eye contact with the Falcon, tossing some nades, saying no. The unknown Esports is up there on the northern side. Doesn't look like they're quite gonna hit, but Goldie Gaming will be the next team eliminated. That means we have 3 left. An HQA club, and we set it all 4 up. They definitely have spotted out their next victims, and not too far away is the entirety of Aces. Aces also doing pretty well to kind of keep themselves alive. I mean, they only had 3 to start off with, so it might be a 3v4 to go ahead and end things off, but they actually have a really good foothold inside this next zone.
Yep, and the zone now shifting up quite favorably there for them, but of course we can see HQA already starting to make their advances up in towards the zone. Ooh, but all these smokes deployed all over the place is gonna slightly hamper, or rather damper the view for the place here from Aces. But up comes HQA, just looking to push their way on in. They already have that first initial anchor point set up. But this could be where all the attention now turns to the players from Unknown, as they are in a very exposed position. No kills to mention. And it is going to be Tarun and Blame left to try and make this final stand for the team.
Oh, but they're gonna try. All of the smokes instantly coming out. They were able to save vehicles this entire time. Go to, though, spotting out at least the one truck there that could end it, and it does. Unknown Esports unfortunately couldn't get out of that situation, and that means these next 2 teams, HQA Club, Aces, one step closer to getting this winner chicken dinner. It, of course, only 7 people alive, 2 teams. Beautiful shots from Subpig onto Yusuf, just instantly blinking down. Honestly, HQA Club looking very strong.
Well, they could definitely have this one in the back, but of course now up they go, looking to bring it, and beautiful spray down coming through now from Team Aces there. As you can see, everything now riding on Go-To, but the pressure is going to be on Aurora, quickly managing to recover enough health, continues to push forward. But it's going to be a 2-1 split as they move in, and with that, HQA Club steal the victory, claiming a 14-kill chicken. Then absolutely beautiful stuff, 29 points on board.
2,265 damage. I mean, we knew that they were kind of running around this entire zone, just absolutely smacking the rest of these teams, but that is a huge amount of damage with the amount of kills that they were able to go ahead and pick up. So that was just an insane win for HQA Club in that situation. Once again, another team that we have been keeping a close eye on. I mean, gotta say, in the semifinals, they weren't really towards the very top of that leaderboard. They're kind of in that 15th place position, but seeing them kind of turn it around. I'm interested to see if they're going to be able to continue that in our next 2 matches, DK.
Well, it's no surprise we need to see that performance come through from them, as we know over in it towards the qualifiers. They had a 22 and 16 kill match, so seeing a 14 kill match come from them is no surprise whatsoever. And of course, that catapults them to the top of the leaderboard, sitting on a very comfortable 39 points, with Unknown Esports trailing behind on 31. And of course, Team Aces and Snack Attack not too far away either.
No, but not at all. There still is a good amount of not that much distance between the first place team and at least to team 4, because as we can see there, that is about 20 points. I mean, we gotta say that around 10 points per match is the usual, so that could be a huge match for Snack Attack to go ahead and grab that first place position. But otherwise, HQA Club does already, just after 2 matches, have a significant jump above a lot of these teams. The shelves are already appearing on this leaderboard.
Yeah, and again, as we can see, it has been a pretty challenging match once again now for Guns and Guts, Hometown and Vietnam Esports, as they remain on those 0 counts. But of course, you know, this is the beauty of the Battle Royales. The teams have to try and step up, play it as best as they can. But of course, speaking about teams, speaking about best, we have to look at who our MVP team is for this particular matches. Again, we saw some pretty strong performances come through, and a lot of teams just cramming their way on in as that last few phases starting making its way on through. And again, you know, the game just throwing the spanners in the works, making it quite challenging for these teams right from the start, with that zone shifting over on towards that southeastern side.
I think we know who it is. Yeah, there it is. HQA Club up there. The 23 kills total, 4,328 damage total all of today. Like, just not surprised to go on ahead and see that for this match. I mean, that's what was expected. HQ Club grabbing it again. Wait, is this the second MVP in a row?
I think it is, yes, because they got the MVP after the first match as well. So, yeah, definitely a force to be reckoned with here.
Yeah, I mean, this is expected then. They got the MVP first match, and then they get the chicken dinner and MVP the second match. HQ Club they're just not joking around at this point. Now they're cut to finals. So, maybe that was their strategy, that they're like semifinals will just be a little bit stinky, and then when we come into the finals, we're just absolutely gonna pop off and just surprise everybody completely.
Well, that could very well be exactly what they were aiming for. And I'm going to say so far, it does look like it has been paying off. Sadly, no grenade kills for them, they span. It's a big fat zero on that one, but definitely it's pretty impressive. Yeah, pretty impressive amount of kills though still being dealt by them. But of course, we've now had a look at our MVP team. Now, of course, we're going to have a look to see who our MVP player is after the second match. And it's going to be none other than HQA Bright once again, yes.
Jeez, the 6 kills, the 1,430 damage, just 1,400 damage by themselves in this last match. I mean, there really isn't anything else to say about that. At this point, I'm kind of curious. Come on, I want to see somebody else on this board. I mean, I know only 2 matches have popped up, but come on, we got to see if anybody else is kind of going to give HQA Club a little bit of a run. I mean, Unknown Esports are already close to doing so.
Yep, they're definitely hot on the heels and only a few more points to go. But, I mean, we were expecting nothing less than this, to see the teams making it so difficult for anyone to really advance into any potential positions. I mean, we're expecting the heat, the pressure from these teams to be exceptionally high coming into the finals, and that is exactly what they are delivering on. So beautiful match once again. But of course, speaking of that, we are going to now be hopping into a quick break while we get ready for our third match of the day to see what the teams will bring in the next one. So be sure to stay tuned, and we'll see you guys right back in a short few minutes.
Playing with temptation, searching for salvation. Can we find our way back, way back? Caught up in confusion, need a resolution. Can we find our way back, way back? No more running, no more running, no more chasing. No more running now, I'm running out of patience. Caught up in confusion, need a resolution. Can we find our way back, way back?
welcome back. It is time to get into our third match of the day. Of course, in the second one, we saw the players there from HQA Club swooping in with that winner chicken dinner and 14 kills alongside that. Now, this time around, we're getting ready to move into a little bit of that Sanhok action. So we're heading straight up in towards the jungle. We've now finished up in the desert, and it is going to be time to get up close and personal and into a little bit of a heated potential position there.
Well, that's because Sanhok, that is the aggressive map. If you are good at team fights, chain fights, Sanhok is definitely the place to go on ahead and do so. And I have to say, there is a lot of teams that we've been seeing some pretty big aggression from, even in these first two matches. So I'm kind of expecting maybe one of them to go on ahead and take this next match as well. But at this point, I just kind of want to see a team towards the bottom of that leaderboard kind of take it from them, prove them wrong.
Yeah, of course, we still have those three teams that we are waiting for to see what they're going to be bringing. One of them, of course, being the players there from Guns and Guts, as there's still a lot for them to do. I mean, so far, they haven't had any luck in our first two matches, so maybe that could be changing as we move into the close quarter fights over in towards Sanhok. Of course, we can say exactly the same for the players there from Hometown, as well as the team, of course, coming in from Esports. So we've got some expectations as we're getting ready to move into this match, and we'll have to wait and see who's going to be the team to reign supreme right there on a little bit of that Sanhok action. But of course, if we look back to the last time we saw the teams over on Sanhok, that was a match in which we had the players there from Unknown actually finishing up in second position as well. So who knows, maybe this could be their map, their chicken to take.
They could go ahead and start duking it out with HQA Club, it seems like, swapping back and forth a little bit. So maybe they'll go ahead and take this next one. Maybe that'll be the rest of today, you know, just HQA Club, Unknown Esports fighting back and forth. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are a couple of teams that are kind of close by right underneath them on the leaderboard. So maybe they'll just get so distracted by each other that another person will kind of sneak up.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, it could even maybe be the players from Imperial X to step up, because, you know, Snack Attack was also pretty close to them, so it still can swing either which way. As we know, a lot of these teams sitting higher up on the leaderboard, they've shown some pretty good performances coming in from not only the qualifiers but also up in towards the semis. So we've had a bit of a mixed result so far in the finals. You know, we've been talking about this, and who knows, so far we don't really have any particular team that is absolutely running away with the performances. HQA Club, they're up there, they're getting ready to cause a little bit of havoc. But of course, speaking about havoc, we are going to be jumping into our maps of the day, just to give you an idea of where we've been, where we are going, and of course what is yet to be expected from the rest of the games here for today. Of course, as we've already said, we've completed Erangel, we've completed Miramar. Now it is time for a little bit of that Sanhok action. Now, Span, any predictions you want to make for Sanhok?
Oh man, like I said, I don't know. I mean, the aggressive teams are going to show up on Sanhok. What we've kind of been noticing for this series as well so far is that Erangel and Miramar, they're actually usually the more aggressive maps than Sanhok, which is the complete opposite of what it usually is. So coming into a Sanhok match, especially being the third match, it might kind of finally be settling in that some of these teams might kind of have to be changing up how they approach these matches. So this Sanhok might be a little bit slower than what we're used to on Sanhok matches. Otherwise, still assume that there's going to be some hot drops, and the aggressive teams are going to go ahead and do well.
So we've seen a few fights come in for Bootcamp. We've seen a few fights come in for Paradise. We haven't really seen too much fighting over in towards Spy9. We do have that in the early game when we have a little bit of that hot drop action come on through. But maybe this time around, that could be exactly where the action is going to be unfolding. We'll have to wait and see, of course, what that zone is going to be bringing as our first initial flight path. Doesn't matter all too much. This is a relatively small match, or small map rather, and the teams can still reach pretty much anywhere they like.
Very true. So we'll just have to wait and see where the zone still goes, though. Because, I mean, sometimes the plane pass are absolutely ridiculous. So what it does, it just does mess up some people's loot phases. And sometimes it does go ahead and dictate those hot drops. But otherwise, yeah, you're right. It doesn't really go ahead and hurt anything else. But it looks like we don't have to worry about that. Because once again, what is with it today? It looks like the finals are just being joined by really nice plane pass so far.
Yeah, really nice plane paths and then some really compromising zones. So, you know, I've got some hopes here. Maybe we'll see another extreme shift come through. But, I mean, this is pretty standard on Sanhok. The first zone usually is the crazy one. After that, it's all passive. Everything just slowly, steadily rolls forward. So, who knows? Maybe we'll see another crazy shift. Maybe we'll have a completely normal zone. I mean, it'll be revealed soon. So stay tuned. And we'll find out pretty soon what the teams are going to be doing, of course, already. Ooh, a lot of action starting up here for Guns and Cut again.
Not again, is what I should say. No, Guns and Guts. They did so well over the semifinals. What's happening? Once again, slowly being taken out, and with none other than straight out of Nepal as well. They got first blood last match too, and it looks like they're grabbing it here as well. Okay, there's only one person left now in this compound with them. That's a 2v1 situation. The rest of the team a little bit too far away to help out, but we just have to wait and see if they get there in time to help out. Ooh, share here. It's not looking too good, but we'll just wait and see now as they're starting to push.
Oh, come on. Come on. I mean, we saw the players here from V for Vendetta also not too far away either. So already the shots coming through as V for Vendetta are starting to strike down and just applying the pressure onto Guns and Guts. So this is an absolute, horrendous start for them. I mean, so unfortunate. And with that, Guns and Guts get eliminated first.
I'm sad. I mean, they seriously did so well in the semifinals. It looks like they just can't quite figure it out in these finals so far. But you know who's trying to take a part of this advantage of this was V for Vendetta. But Pain, no, gets caught out by another member of Straight Outta Nepal. The rest of them were finally coming on over to help out their two teammates. So that means this third party coming through from V for Vendetta isn't quite rolling out the way that they want it to. We could see Daddy over there, a little bit too far away to be able to help out, reviving the teammate. Man, it feels weird to finally be saying their name again because V for Vendetta, seriously, over qualifiers, they were cracked. And so I'm kind of expecting maybe this map to be the map that they kind of come back with, but Pain getting knocked already, not too good of a start.
Yeah, it's a bit of a rocky start for V for Vendetta. Maybe they're still just looking to build up that momentum. And I mean, which better map to do it on? You know, like, ideal map to get that momentum going once again. But like, one thing I want to say about the players here coming in from the side of Guns and Guts, right? Now, I think they've had the guts to figure out a way not to drop, right? Because anywhere they've gone, they were the first one to go, right? So maybe they were feeling a little bit risky, trying to push up and hard drop onto one of the opposing teams. And unfortunately, as we saw, things didn't really work out too ideally for them. But of course, now we could potentially see this race coming up on towards Spain. And up comes HQA Club now, looking to sneak into the fight as well. So straight out of Nepal, as well as V for Vendetta positioned up ahead. Not quite sure whether or not HQA Club is going to get drawn into this engagement.
Oh, and Fluffy getting a nice wrap around is going to actually spot out Daddy and get another knock on V for Vendetta. Honestly, this entire bowl, you can see him up on top of this hill, everything in front of him, just a complete and utter bowl. Like, I do not go anywhere near this area of the map because it is just that dangerous. And we can kind of see that, just an example right there with what just happened to Daddy. The rest of V for Vendetta, though, looks like they got the res. The rest of them kind of getting further away, and I think that means V for Vendetta kind of going to stay alive with just 3 up. I wonder if they're kind of going to be staying away from this at this point, if they're going to continue to kind of hold this ridge for now. I don't think they're going to be aggressive and like crash the compound or something crazy though.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure though, because I mean, up comes HQA Club now as they sneak in behind straight out of Nepal, just looking to capitalize on those third parties. And with Daddy bleeding out up ahead, things are looking pretty grim now for V for Vendetta if HQA Club continues to push up as aggressively as we've been seeing them play over the past 2 matches.
Oh man, I mean HQA Club, I feel like that's literally their play style right now. I mean, they only have one elimination so far right now. They're not going to be content with that. Wouldn't be surprised if they keep on pushing. They do have a knock on a Fluffy. They're already tossing some nades to try and confirm that. But we'll just pretend we didn't see that nade. We'll just pretend. I mean, they're doing so well, the least we can do is at least ignore that one nade. Not quite reaching the target, but it looks like it doesn't matter as Aurora is actually just going to push on over and potentially get that flush. You're right, though. This could have been a great third-party opportunity for V for Vendetta on Straight on Nepal, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen, so we're going to go ahead and jump a little elsewhere on the map.
Yeah, of course, we are jumping straight up to the players here from BU Generations. You can see N1Z also just off in the distance here, but this, of course, is over in towards Painan. Now, I was hoping to see a little bit of action come up in towards Painan, and that could be exactly what we could be getting. But, of course, we need to wait and see where this next phase is going to be going. The players here from Game Changers taking a little bit more of a calculated approach, just riding that blue zone, potentially looking to maybe rotate along that northern side. But, of course, the rest of the zone is looking absolutely jam-packed with N1Z now pushing up from that southern side. And of course, we have the Blaze there from Unknown now rotating out of Sami coming up right behind them. But Hometown, oh, they've got a fairly decent spread right here up in towards Painan itself, and the zone stays there.
Yeah, just decided to kind of send her off that one. So not too many teams actually have to move. I mean, the last ever Snack Attack kind of stuck in Bond right now. They obviously have to go on ahead and make the move. Game Changers, you already pointed them out all the way up by Mung Nai. And then HQA Club just has to finish off their fight with Straight Outta Nepal, and then they'll be able to go on ahead and make their entrance into the zone. Everybody else is chilling. That's not too many teams in the overall scheme of things. I mean, there's 16 teams in this, and only 4 of them currently outside of this next zone. So, I mean, honestly, I feel like that means this circle should be pretty tame, right? There shouldn't be too much action. But I feel like knowing these teams, there's going to be some. There's going to be some. These teams want the next better spot, so we're going to still see some things happen.
Especially with that hillside just south there of Painan, where we can see N1Z just hovering around, also not fully committing to a position just yet. Of course, now the headless. We see them also just on the edge of the waterway, across the way from BU Generation Z as the hits start to fly on through. Mario, oh, just picking away now, finding a beautiful spray down right on towards Hollow's side. Of course, Carl is now going to try and make a bit of a stand right there in the window as well, but some great utilization of the coverage here by Mario.
I mean, just like prone, going ahead and kind of stabilize your shots a little bit more, especially with that M4. Why not? And the hit list, though, looks like it's working. They're not peeking anymore. I mean, they did a nice amount of damage. I mean, honestly, early on in matches like this, if you know that you're in a good spot, you shouldn't go on ahead and move. But what you can do is continue to pester your opponent, right? You can continue to take shots at them. If you damage them, that's obviously going to go on ahead and waste any utility they have, any meds. If they can pop tires, that's definitely something you want to go on ahead and do. Obviously, tires not as important on a map like Sanhok, but see, look at those. Smack, and a Peaceful has to use one of the first aid kits, but to be fair, they have a ton. What? They had 10 and 11 first aids each. Getting ready for that zone.
Yeah,
for the med zone strat.
Yeah. That is what they're getting ready for, but of course we see that kind of approach being adopted by a lot of these teams as they make their stand over in it towards Sanhok. But for the time being, BU Generation Z are going to be keeping a very watchful eye, also not rotating out too much. Of course, there is no reason to do that just yet, but N1Z, still looking for that position, taking a good spread in the compounds, being in a position where they can apply a slight tad bit of pressure to the players coming in there off the side of Unknown. But I mean, spent still 14 teams, 51 players. You said this phase is going to be a little bit relaxed, but I want to see the next one as we drawing pretty close to that third phase.
Of course, yeah. The next one definitely is going to be a little bit more action-packed because that's when the zone is just going to be a tad bit too small for the amount of people still inside the zone. Also, I will point out really quickly, the N1Z compound, they're in a huge bowl. They can take a lot of shots at the people around them. They have vision, a huge amount of vision around them, but also on top of that, you saw their vehicles get exploded. Since they have a huge amount of vision around them, first of all, their compound will be hard to go ahead and crash and take a fight with, which is obviously what they want. But if the zone doesn't land on their compound, it's going to be extra hard for them to actually get out of there as well.
Ooh. Of course, now Game Changers showing us how to park your motorcycle in bootcamp as they come rushing straight on in. Of course, bootcamp is up in towards the northern side of the zone. And they've got quite a bit of ground now to cover to make it up in towards that next phase. We can see 600 meters or so remaining on the clock. Of course, that zone has shifted all the way down to the south. And this is looking actually quite golden now for the players there of Imperial X as well as Unknown. A good centralized position they've got.
Yeah, and Z also it landed on their compound, so they're definitely going to be staying there for as long as possible. Unknown as well. I mean, they have a nice ridge. Oh, but first we have to focus on this fight. No way. Snack Attack actually making a push on a Hometown. Hometown was in Painan first, and it looks like the trades are actually coming through. The rest of Hometown, though, slowly making the push even closer. It looks like they're cleaning that up pretty well, but also HQA Club, they finally caught up for V4 Vendetta. 2 down right beside them. One last nade from Aurora. And V4 Vendetta, our next team eliminated. That is nuts.
Oh, so many fights now starting to break out all over the place. We got Hometown and the team here from Snack Attack fighting it out for control of Painan. Of course, a few more hits also erupting across the rest of the zone. But here we go. Bullshark taking a nice chunk of damage there. But that is not going to be stopping Bullshark just yet. Finds a good angle there. Of course, Cloudy getting knocked right on down. It is now up to Monday. As of course, Forever Yeet as well. Getting ready to rotate up. Oh, Bullshark trying to heal up a very risky position to be applying mids.
Ooh. Oh no! Redness is about to spot him out though. The other member comes around the corner. Hometown now. It's not looking good for them. It's just on a one person left. And of course the aggressive pushes come through and Hometown will be eliminated. That is a lot of noise up there in Painan. Wouldn't be surprised to see if maybe another team is overlooking them just as Reaper from Imperial overlooking Aces. This is all the way down on the southern side of this zone. Right above them is Unknown Esports. Oh man, they're on the very edge of the zone. Kind of surprised they're taking this fight, but obviously any points that you can get will be ideal. And Unknown, they're smack in the center. I was kind of started talking about it before the action started. They have this big ridge up there, right at the northern side of where this fight is currently taking place, where they can see everything. And that means it's going to be really hard for people to kind of push up onto them. They're kind of controlling this entire center zone. Just look at them up on top of that hill. So Unknown, great spot. I'm kind of expecting them to do well.
Yeah, from that position, they can see everyone and their cousin. But now, of course, we see the players here from Imperial X getting ready to creep their way closer on towards Aces. A quick regroup. We did see a little bit of a split play coming from there. Their Reaper, of course, now still recovering that health. But so far, Aces in a decent compound. You were talking about, those good coverage angles not too long ago. And it does seem like Aces themselves are also able to cover quite a few of those angles as the zone now shifts even further down to the south. Now, this is where it's going to get crazy, right? Look at the number of teams we still have positioned outside of zone. They all now need to rush on in. And there's only a few ideal positions really to be in.
Yeah, just a couple of compounds. I mean, you can see just in the very center of the zone, all those dark squiggly green lines. Like, that's just all rice fields and rice fields. So that's just a bunch of hills, right? That doesn't have too much cover. So instantly peaceful. From an Esports kind of checking out that center compound, then going to swing back, probably pick up his teammates, and they're probably going to take that center compound for themselves. Aces, Imperial X, Esports, also going to be quite on the happy side as well, getting their own compounds. But you're right, everybody else, they're not going to be happy whatsoever, because there's a ton of teams outside of this zone and not enough edge zone for them to share. So there's going to be a lot of fighting for those teams specifically now making a move on in.
Yeah, it could be quite gruesome for a lot of these teams. Of course, Blaze here from HQA first. Now just listening to those vehicles move on by, but Unknown. Oh, here we go. Are they going to be able to find these angles? The first few sprays come all through. Up comes that rush now from Goaty Gaming right alongside them. Oh, Zolda about to land themselves in quite a bit of trouble. But of course, B Generation Z also coming under quite a bit of pressure. So you can see Mario now getting picked up. The players here from Snack Attack moving in right alongside them. Up comes the nade. That wasn't planned, I don't think. But, well, that's one way to make sure that your teammate doesn't find themselves. Yeah. Or rest or firsted.
I guess so. If you take out your teammate, that means the point doesn't go to the enemy, right? Yeah. No. Unfortunate nade. I wonder if they thought that nade was going to land behind that rock and go ahead and get the flushes. But yeah, it looks like that one member from BU Generation Z no longer inside of it, but the fights will, of course, continue elsewhere. Looks like this fight, though, between Snack Attack and Goalie kind of had a little bit of at a hold for now. You can see Leo kind of making not a complete run for it, but he's definitely chilling out while his teammate is kind of scoping out where the last member of Snack Attack is. But everything else will kind of be held. BU Generation Z, though, after the flush came through on the Mario, looks like they're kind of just going for the sneaky snake approach for now.
Well, they won't be able to sneaky sneak for much longer as zone is going to start tightening up. As you can see, the blue zone almost closing all the way in. We're about to hop into the fifth phase, but beautiful nade now getting sent out by Bright as it finds its way right on it towards N1Z. Of course, the players there from Snack Attack also coming under fire as BU Generation Z are trying to make their play up in towards that northern side, but the hits continue to roll on through right on towards N1Z. Now it's up to Vitamin C to hold on for the entirety of the team.
Have to wait and see if they can do it. Meanwhile, Hitless just completely needing every single team to the northern side. If they're able to actually clear out this angle for themselves, that it will be huge for them. As you can see, they're trying to be chucking nades over there to see if they can get rid of the rest of Snack Attack, but they can't quite catch forever just yet. So they're probably going to go on ahead and start prioritizing that zone once again. Yeah, there we go. Just instantly turning around to go back. That means they have to be on their toes. They have to be ready for any team to be coming up from the northern side as well. So because that would have been the benefit for making sure that the teams to the north were out, is that they kind of don't have to worry about the angle anymore. But since they're just leaving it be, they're gonna have to at least keep one person continue to look over their shoulder.
Yeah, it's good situational awareness coming through there, but of course now Unknown are going to be looking to set up their own bit of a gatekeep on the edge of the zone. As you can see, the players here from HQA Club now trying to make that dash back into the safety of the zone. It does seem like Chiwang is going to be the first one to make it in successfully. Unknown going to decide to make their own way on through, but so many teams now caught up in the blue zone. It is fifth phase blue about to become the sixth phase blue, and it is going to be absolutely brutal for these teams. I'm not quite sure how many of them will be able to survive the damage being dealt. Here we go, Blame now, just taking up a good position. Oh, with that, Bright goes down. It is now up to Sub Big to try and out heal.
He canceled it.
What?
Oh man, I'm like kind of holding my breath there. He just canceled it. I don't know if they did that on purpose. Meanwhile, HQA Thirst will be taken out. Looks like the hit list will be able to get inside zone in time. I mean, you can just see the play zone still continuing to just knock people out. Yeah, BU Generation Z falls too. Oh man, so much damage onto the other HQA members as well. Yeah, there you go. HQA Club that weren't able to heal that blue zone in time. I think we're just down to 5 teams left, and that zone is so tiny, still up on the very top of the hill. All the rest of these fights are going to be pretty difficult. One of them, the challenge is Imperial X Esports. I don't know quite how they're going to get out of that compound at this point, since they're kind of trapping themselves down there to the bottom, while the rest of these teams will be fighting atop this hill.
Well, it's going to be quite a bit of an uphill battle for a lot of these teams. Of course, the players here from Unknown Esports sitting on still a full squad. The Hitless also still riding on all 4 players up and able. But now N1Z as well as Game Changers only have their solos left to play. Now, we've seen these solos be able to bring in quite a bit of a clutch play, but they, of course, are positioned out in the blue, so it is going to be a heal for them. Meanwhile, the 3 other teams are going to be fighting it out for control of the zone. It is going to be Imperial X, is going to be Unknown up against the players there from the Hitless. The shots now flying straight on through as Sam is trying to pick up the angles, trying to pick up those shots, but takes quite a bit of damage. The blue zone, of course, are closing in, forcing their hand. They're going to be running out of space very, very soon.
And we know that there's at least one person still hiding out in the blue zone going for the med strap. But here we go. The hit list know that they have to go ahead and make a push towards Unknown Esports. You kind of predicted it was Unknown going away with this win for this map, since they did over the semifinals. But will they be able to go on ahead and actually do it on this one as well? That's the question. Unfortunately for Peaceful, it looks like he's not doing too well. The rest of the hit list slowly start continuing to make their push. 2 more go down. Here we go. Even more nades being tossed down. I think it's just Blame left. And Esports will in fact be eliminated. Imperial X Esports need to use that as an opportunity to get a move.
Yeah, they definitely need to do that, but they are secured within that zone. The Hitlers rather now up on the hilltop, having to make their way on through. Up comes the Tricks. The fight is a beautiful spray down. 1 down, 2 more to go. Now will King and Sam be able to make enough of a stand here as the Hitlers start making their descent, getting ready to push even further and further forward. That Zona centering up right in the middle of these two teams. Sam now getting knocked right on down. It now all turns to King. Will King be able to hold on? Does expose himself to get the hit onto her side. It does work, but it's going to be a 1v2 fight for control of the zone.
Oh no, they now know exactly what tree King is on as well, and I don't think he really has any opportunity to move anywhere else. So that is why we're starting to see him start tossing down those smokes. He knows that they know exactly what tree he's at. That zone will pop right in between them. You can see that King, though, has no teammates to res, while the hit list, they do. So I think this is about to turn into, once again, a 1v3 situation. So King, honestly, he has to start getting a move on, start getting these knocks. Oh, can he see them on the edge of his screen as they start pushing down?
Oh, here they come. We did see a potential play coming in from King. Now up comes Trickster, looking to get up close and personal. Dialing up the aggression. The shots are flying in from King as he picks up hollow side. The shots come through, and with that, Imperial X get eliminated. Game changers are still in the play.
I didn't even realize. No way. Wait, they're in paradise. He's all the way in paradise still. That's insane. He has been heel strutting this entire time. But the damage is too much at some point. So the hit list with 8 kills, 1,371 damage, will be taking this match on Sanhok. And honestly, that was just a beautiful showing for their skills. Another team that ended up doing really well in the semifinals, that ended up surprising us. Not surprised to see them go on ahead and show up once again.
Yeah, well, it's of course something that we've come to expect now. Teams stepping up, surprising us with their performances. So big shout out there going to the Hitlers. Absolutely beautiful. Winner, chicken dinner. But of course, you know, this has been a very interesting play. No surprise to see those Blue Zone heal strats being applied. But I mean, all the way from Paradise, that means like since potentially the first phase, that's when that kind of heal strat started to come into play.
Like definitely over like 30 first aids, I would think. Like some insane number of first aids. Like I wish we kind of were able to find out, but that's definitely what he had to have used to get that far. I wouldn't be surprised if he was kind of wandering around and looting all those areas as well. That's probably how he ended up in paradise in the first place, but that's still that's commitment.
Yeah, definitely is some insane commitment coming through right then and there. But of course, speaking about commitment, we need to now have a look and see who our MVP team is going to be right here after this match on Sanhok. Now, we did see a really strong performance coming in from HQA Club once again. They did amount quite a few kills in this previous game. I think it was on 10 once again. So I'm curious to see who's going to be the MVP for this time around. I mean, I don't have any predictions.
Don't get ahead of yourself. What about the leaderboard, DK? We gotta take a look at that leaderboard. We gotta take a look at the leaderboard first. I know. That's not like, I know, I want to see it too, but we gotta see the leaderboard first, at least, to see just where we are at. I know. Okay. We just have to see what the leaderboard is right now after 3 matches. We kind of said 3 matches earlier. That was it. We were wrong. There's actually 4 matches today. You guys get a bonus game. So we're gonna take a look at this leaderboard, and it's still not even the last day. So let's go ahead and do that really quickly, just to see where they're at after 3 matches. And are we surprised to see HQA Club still up there in that first position with 53? No, we're not. But Unknown Esports in second with 42? No, we're not. But it looks like Imperial X Esports hit list aces slowly kind of crawling up that leaderboard as well. Gotta say though, there's a 10-point difference between second and third place. That is doable, okay, in a singular game, but that still is, it's increasing, that gap.
Yeah, I mean, speaking about increasing gaps, right? Imperial definitely looking to close that gap as they've hopped now from 5th place up into 3rd. Of course, the Hitlers, they've actually made quite a jump. They started in 12th place before this match, and now they're all the way up in towards 4th. So one good game really does quite a wonderful thing for any of these teams. So, you know, I'm curious to see who's going to be the teams to step it up next. But so far, some pretty beautiful performances coming in. The Aces, of course, as we can see up there. And as you said, Span, this is still very much neck and neck, but especially from that third place down to, for instance, I'd say about 10th place.
Yeah, I mean, just one match. I mean, if you get a singular win, that's 15 placement points on top of whatever kill points you're able to go ahead and pick up. So even this last match, right now, I don't think I can say anything with 100% solidity, I guess we'll say, concreteness, except for the fact I think HQA Club is still going to be in first, maybe Unknown Esports in second as well, unless one of those two teams actually goes on ahead and takes this next chicken dinner. That's the only thing that could go on ahead and change the first two places. Everything else, like you said, it's kind of unknown.
Yeah, I mean, speaking about Unknown, Team Unknown, they've been showing some pretty good consistency, not only just today, but also, you know, in what we saw coming through in the semis. So far they've been holding true to that. So I think they are definitely contenders to challenge HQA Club. So who knows, that could happen on our final match here of the day. But of course, we are now, yes, at long last going to be looking to see who our MVP team is. I know I got so excited about that before, but let's find out who it is. I mean, MVP team, it could be anyone, but of course it is going to be HQA Club. Once again, no surprise, but they now just get it even further ahead with the amount of damage. But Span, they've added in a grenade kill.
That makes me happy. That makes it okay. Have you noticed the background? I feel like it's getting slowly more and more orange each time they get MVP as well. Maybe it's just a trick of my eye or something. But yeah, 33 kills, 5,886 damage. I mean, that's just that's insane. At this point, like HQA Club, I'm expecting them to get MVP after this next match as well. And if they don't, then I mean, I'll just be disappointed.
Because they're breaking the pattern, you know, we are getting so accustomed to these patterns to see the teams sitting up right here. But of course, now we've seen our MVP team, now we need to take a look at to see who our MVP player is going to be. Will it be Mr. Bright once again? Yes, indeed, no surprise.
No, not at all. I mean, we keep seeing him in every single match so far today do something absolutely insane. I mean, he even said his name this last match, so that's when you know that a player is definitely pulling their weight for the team. This time getting those 10 kills with, again, almost 2,000 damage. I mean, not surprised to see Bright up there again. So again, after this last match, I expect to see HQA Club, and I expect to see Bright. And if it's anything other than that, I'm gonna go cry or something. I'm just gonna type in the leaderboard and be like, how could you do this to me? So, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, only time will tell, but let's hope that, well, on the one side that it kind of stays consistent, and the other side that I'm hoping for a bit of for change to come on through, because again, we are still yet to see the players there from Guns and Guts as well as Hometown and of course Vietnam Esports step up and just put on a few additional points. We know it's been pretty tricky. It's been pretty fierce competition, but of course, as with everything, we need to take a quick break while we prep ourselves for this last match, which will see us returning all the way back on towards Durango. So be sure to stay tuned, and we'll see you guys right back after the break.
Running in circles to get away. I'm in the same place. At the end of the day, another stiff drink in a dark room. I don't wanna think, can I be numb to you? You set me free when you try to get rid of me. One day you'll see when you're left with a memory. It's days like these that I'm glad that you left. I can't dwell on the
Hello and welcome back to the Campus Series for North America. We've been seeing some pretty insane plays in our first 3 matches right here on the finals. Of course, we've gone to Erangel, we've gone to Miramar, we've gone to Sanhok, and now we are heading right back to Erangel to wrap up day 1. Now, Span, it has been absolutely crazy. We've seen some pretty strong performances, also some pretty strange flight paths mixed up with those zones. I'm hoping for a little bit of a change as we jump into this last one.
All the plane paths have been very friendly, but all of the zones, you're right, have been a little bit crazy. Like, I mean, I don't think I've seen the Miramar or the Sanhok circle in quite a while. So going into this last match, kind of curious to see if Erangel is going to go on ahead and give us something kind of crazy. Actually, even a first Erangel match, it gave us something a little bit interesting as well. So this last match, I'm kind of expecting the same thing. Or maybe it'll swap. Maybe the plane path will be absolutely horrible, but maybe it'll give us a nice zone. We'll have to wait and see. It'll be one or the other. But
I'll settle for that.
For that? Okay. But my expectations, I mean, HQA Club, they're just kind of running away with things. I know in Esports, they've been kind of playing it safe too. I mean, still playing way more than consistently, still at the top of the board in second place as well. Otherwise, everybody else, it's kind of just been another team that we aren't expecting kind of stepping up and doing well. So the last one was the hit list. Coming to this last match, I want to see, again, another team kind of go on ahead and show up for this last game.
I have to agree with you on that, right? Because we've seen the teams step up, you know, just claiming those positions, but it is still very much neck and neck across the board for a lot of these teams, right? So we saw that major leap come in from the hit list, you know, all the way up in towards 4th place, and it just shows what a difference one decent match can bring into the leaderboard. So I'm expecting to see the plays now come through from potentially the Aces, Snack Attack, straight out of Nepal, Game Changers, because you could see they've been trying a few things. Not necessarily all of them succeeding, but definitely actively trying to bring in something. But another team I'm actually quite surprised to not see sitting on the left-hand side of the leaderboard is going to be the team from N1Z. I mean, they've also just been stepping it up, but unfortunately not really finding themselves in the most ideal positions just yet.
Not just yet. I mean, in some of the games, they have been getting a pretty good position around that center spot. But other than that, right when it gets to those later zone shifts, it does get a little bit more iffy, right?
Yeah, definitely does get it quite a bit iffy. But of course, speaking about the match shifts, we are going to be shifting right on over in towards Erangel, prepping ourselves up to see where exactly the flight path is going to be coming in from, what these teams will have to work with, and whether or not we're going to have a decent flight. I'm seriously hoping for a little bit of a wacky flight path to come through with maybe a potential nice zone, right? Or maybe a wacky zone as well. Oh.
Not as lucky. Looks like we got, once again, a pretty nice plane path. I mean, the zone could still be wacky. I mean, it could just decide to be all like, you know what, we're going to Zarky this time or something crazy like that. Obviously, we won't know for a while, so we'll just have to wait and see. But this one, it looks like this one might even be a little bit nicer than our first Erangel plane path, I'm not gonna lie. Because the other one, I mean, it was still across the main body of Erangel, but a little bit more up towards that northeastern side. This one even includes that southern side. You know, last time they couldn't even reach Quarry or the military base. This time they can.
Yeah, let's hope that maybe the flight path is just giving them a slight sense of false hope there. But who knows? We are yet to see. Oh, never mind. Look at the zone. We got a wacky zone. That is what we want. You called it, Span. Beautiful.
I did. Don't you know casters choose the zones? I'm just okay. I'm kidding. That is not true. I'm putting the disclaimer before people believe me. But yeah, it does look like Zarky's gonna be a part of it. Otherwise, Georgia Pool, they had 2 teams at Georgia Pool last time, and it looks like a couple of teams are attempting to do that again. So I even think this zone is gonna be pretty full of teams immediately as well. It's gonna be interesting. The interesting part to keep an eye on are those teams that jumped immediately and how they're gonna go ahead and integrate themselves into this.
Yeah, also, of course, that early game positioning could be essential for a lot of these teams. The first zone we had all the way down to the south, eastern side this time around. We went for the northwestern, yes. King now trying to be the king of dodge, but unfortunately doesn't work out all too well as the hits come through and snack attack with the sneak attack as Monday hits back and gets to confirm.
Man. Everybody hates Mondays, so, you know, that's exactly what Mondays feel like, I'm not gonna lie. So that was justified. I feel like that had to have happened. Unfortunately, though, for Imperial X Esports, looks like they're losing King already. And I feel like definitely in the last couple of matches, whenever we spectate Imperial X Esports, King is always the one person alive, at least for their team. So losing him immediately, curious to see how they're going to fare the rest of this match, especially as they're driving very far over towards the western side of the zone when the circle popped towards the west.
That is a bit of a interesting play coming through from them, but of course, you know, it's nothing out of the ordinary to see the players here from Snack Attack hopping over in towards that shelter position. We saw them there previously as well. Also, not too much of an odd position actually for the players here from Imperial X. Of course, N1Z heading back up in towards Zaki, same as where we saw them in that first match. But I gotta say, we don't see as much of a hot drop coming through this time around. I mean, first match, yes, there was quite a bit of action early game, but this time around, things seem to be a little bit more on the easygoing side.
Yeah, around that, oh, well, just as we see somebody die here, no, there was no fight in that compound to the east of Rossock this time. So that's what really started off the aggression or the fights really early on in our first Erangel match. This time, it wasn't contested. So it seems like somebody else decided to go elsewhere. And that's kind of set the tone for this game so far. There have been a couple of chases so far, but otherwise nothing too crazy.
Well, who knows? Maybe there might be a few more surprises still to come. The Snack Attack are still held up over in towards shelter, slowly expanding their reach as they are getting more and more loot going here. But I'm curious to see where the teams are going to start rotating up to once this next zone starts popping. Of course, we do have that blue zone now starting to close on in, and who knows? It could still go any which way.
You're not wrong. I mean, with it where it is right now, it pulled up towards Zarki, right? There's definitely, you don't really know where the next zone is going to go until at least zone 2. It's really zone 2 where the IGL is really going to be able to go on ahead and identify or guess the best where they should go on ahead and set up in. So right now, everybody, their main goal is just to get through the looting phase and at least get into this next zone. What you usually see everybody do is kind of set themselves up into the best location possible. So with the zone kind of being up into the northwestern side, since it has that river, we might see some teams start setting up around these bridges. I was going to say that before we switch to this fight happening here, but you start seeing teams go towards these bridges so that no matter where the second zone pops to, they'll definitely have some sort of a way into the zone no matter where it goes. So that's why we're seeing a lot of these fights happen around these areas where that transition is possible. And I'm surprised to see HQA Club being aggressive in Rosshawk once again. Just no.
No surprise whatsoever on that front. But now, of course, this is quite an interesting position. I mean, it's not too often we see teams really fighting on the edge of Watertown. I mean, this could be at times quite a favorable position to be in. But now, zone is closing up. We don't know with certainty where the second phase is going to be taking us. So, who knows? Maybe Straight Out of Nepal could look to tighten the grip as we've got Fluffy holding on that southern side, and anything could still come from that. But of course, now the team's rushing in. Wow, Ayush, not even waiting for the vehicle to come to a stop. He just jumps out of it.
He wanted to take those shots on that enemy driving by. I mean, that would have been sick if he was able to hit those shots, but unfortunately jumped out of that car just on the wrong side of that hill there to be able to do it. I feel like BU Generation Z, not gonna lie, is kind of driving around pretty crazily right there. I think they're trying to go ahead and run into people. And no way! HQA Club, wait a second. They're driving right into this fight between Aces and Straight Out of Nepal. Yeah, no way! Aurora goes down!
Oh yeah, very unfortunate.
Stolen.
But I mean, that is a beautiful capitalization coming through right then and there. Now, straight out on the pole, looking to bring in a little bit of a bridge trolling here as the HQA now are forced to try and retreat back into the safety of the compounds. The hits coming from both sides as Aces and straight out on the pole take aim towards them. But up comes Chiwang with a beautiful hit on Mr. Triggs. But Chiwang so low on health.
Not looking too good. It also looks like straight out of Nepal. I mean, Mr. Trick's currently down. Looks like it's going to be pretty difficult to go on ahead and get that res. The rest of them are super spread out. They don't have to worry about just one team now. They have to worry about two. So since Nepal, straight out of Nepal, seriously, like in the middle of these two teams, they're kind of in the worst spot, if I do say so myself, especially as Mr. Tricks, unfortunately, gets flushed out there. So straight out of Nepal, they're going to have the hardest time recovering. Honestly, that one member that's kind of hiding in Watertown with Aces, Fluffy, it might just be down to him. He might just have to get rid of Yusuf or something to be able to save the rest of his teammates, or he's just going to have to be as quiet as possible to continue for his team if this fight goes south.
Well, it could go south, but it could also definitely go north, depending on where that zone is going to be shifting up into. Haku now getting knocked out as well, and it is now up to Protizzy and Fluffy to just hold on to their respective positions. But of course, Pro Dizzy now going for a bit of a splash there as Haku is pretty isolated on the opposite end there. I mean, look at Fluffy also on that far southern side. So I'm not quite sure whether or not Fluffy's going to be able to reach all the way across. But of course, the second phase now pops up, and it is going to be quite a bit of water in play here.
Yeah, and I was just talking about how zones like these, since it has that river, you kind of have to put yourself along those bridges to be ready for no matter where this next zone shifts. And this one, honestly, you still can't 100% guess where this one's going to go, but it definitely has a higher chance of going towards the northern side of this river. So I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing everybody start banking on that and start heading to the northern side of this river. So we'll just have to wait and see. And a lot of these fights still popping off around these bridges is definitely going to slow some people down.
Oh, this could be the play for Drizzy. Up he comes now. Just back and forth, but HQA Club with a beautiful jump shot. Something lands the finishing blow mid-air to seal the deal right there for straight out of Nepal. Of course, as we jump over on towards the players here from Unknown, we see them now just looking to circle around. We do have another player holding up right behind them, but of course our Team Aces are going to be having their own opportunity to take a bit of a swing at HQA Club now.
That was a really good nade. I mean, it did a lot of damage to two of the members of HQA Club. Unfortunately, it didn't get the knock, though. I'm sure if Yusuf had actually gotten a knock with that nade, then he probably would have been aggressive, but since it didn't, he obviously doesn't know how much damage he was able to do, and now it's just a waiting game once again. I do believe everybody's probably going to be trying to get to the northern side of the river. I'm going to say it again, so the Aces, they're just going to have to wait a tiny bit longer while everybody else is starting to get a head start.
Yep, just going to have to try and play this one out. Of course, now B Generation Z just trying to make their way on in. I mean, they still have all their players up and able to fight. They're getting ready to move on towards that eastern side of Rozhok. We do have the bridge up ahead. I'm curious to see just exactly where these teams currently are all positioned. As we know, the zone has just sent it up slightly, almost on towards shooting range almost, but also this position is holding fairly close to the edge of zone. We can see the heads now flying up on that mini map. But this is where HQA, they are still holding on, not letting this position slide just yet. But of course, right behind them, over towards the far southern side, yeah, but there's HQA Thirst as well.
Where did these two solos come from? I swear just everybody's sending it into Watertown for whatever reason. That's kind of insane. It looks like HQA Club have realized they don't want to be here anymore, though. They're at least going to escape to the other side of this bridge. Not quite surprised to see that they're stopping, though. I mean, they have the opportunity to stay here and camp these teams and make sure they get these points, and knowing HQA Club, they're going to take that. So that's why they're waiting there. I love this spot that V for Vendetta has as well, though. They're currently, this is called Spine. That's what this hill is, and they're currently playing on top of Spine. Obviously gives them a lot of good vision around the entirety of the zone, and if anybody kind of pops up in front of them, they definitely have cover from all the angles that they need. So both V for Vendetta, HQA Club have good spots here with some good intentions. I'm just waiting to see. I wonder if it's going to work for HQA Club.
It could, I mean, it could definitely work. We have seen them really utilize quite a bit of aggression through the previous 3 matches, but I mean, will they try and bring it in once again? We still, of course, have all 15 teams in play, 44 players alive. But it does seem like Aces are heading further towards the south, trying to find a different approach to get back into the safety of the zone. And with that, of course, HQA Club are going to be making their way on through. But this now allows that opportunity for HQA Thirst, as well as straight out of Nepal, to reposition and maybe still stay in the game for a little while longer.
Ooh. I actually kind of like seeing this from Aces as well. They're the team that's in Watertown. They identify that there's too much happening up there. They're just going to grab their vehicles and go around. I mean, Zone 2 damage for the zone, it's not that bad. It's not terrible, so they're going to go on ahead and kind of take a little bit of blue damage just to make sure that they can have a safe rotation into this next zone, because there's still a lot of zones and fights to take after this. So just waiting for HQA Club to hold them out? Nah, they're not going to let that happen. They're just going to go drive around. Meanwhile, towards the center of this zone already, we can see some crazy stuff already happening here just on the southern side of shooting range.
Oh, yes, crazy indeed. It is going to be the 2-man team, the duos, coming in for the game changers. Now, maybe this could be a game-changing approach coming in from them, as we do see the shots now getting fired over on towards the players here from N1Z, who's now been reduced to a 3-man team. Oh, but so many hits coming in. Look at the aggression coming in there from Goldie.
Oh man, I was hoping Goldie would win that, but unfortunately he doesn't. His teammate though, he's still gonna go on ahead and push. Not quite surprised to see that. It's Goldie and Bolty. Let's see what Bolty's now gonna go on ahead and do against Vitamin C, tossing some nades. Oh wait, did that bounce back inside? I'm not quite sure, but all I know is this is gonna be quite interesting to be. Whoa! Where'd he come from? Oh no! Well, now it's a 1v1.
Yeah, Bolty just bolting up the staircase, getting super aggressive on it towards the players here from N1Z. But Bolty now getting ready to go at it once again. Oh, does send the nade out. N1Z fairly spread out. They still have 2 players remaining. Of course, one of them we can see right up ahead, about to face off against good old Bolty here. But they need to pay attention to that zone as well, as the timer is ticking away, but the nades come in. Quick reposition coming in from Bolty. Nothing too dangerous just yet.
No, and the zone actually shifted once again as well. It decided to go down to the southern side, so this compound isn't even safe anymore. That's obviously what the solo would have wanted, for their compound to be safe so they can just continue to hunker on down and wait for the next couple of zones to close, but it's not. So that means they do in fact have to finish off this fight so that they can move a tiny little bit down to the southern side to get in. Nice usage of the smoke from Bolty, making sure he's covering the northern side so that nobody can shoot him, and so they can focus on trying to get down this last member, N1Z, in the compound, because you already mentioned N1Z, there's actually 2 of them alive. There's only 1 here. Where's the last?
Ooh, that is a very good question indeed. But of course now Tainian is going to try and find those angles on towards Bolty. Of course now Bolty not having the element of surprise working in the favor to ever. But now it is up to a little bit of a cautious play here, because this puts N1Z in a very interesting position. They can't really make a run for zone, because Volty's going to spot that and have free reign to rain down some chaos on towards them. But it is still going to be quite a bit of a back and forth. We're almost at the end of that countdown, and the blue zone is going to start making its way on through. Still 100 meters to go for both these players, and I'm curious to see who's going to be the one to clutch it out here and make it into zone.
I mean, yeah, because both of them are playing this very carefully. I mean, that's why we haven't seen either of them really overpeak just yet. I mean, this is how both these teams should be playing it. They don't need to be being super aggressive just yet, because that blue zone isn't on their back heels just yet. So they're kind of going to be waiting each other out to see if either of them can kind of grab that advantage. So I kind of like that the stalemate's happening right now. You know that they're taking it seriously, and that fight is just going to stay active for a little bit longer. Meanwhile, we can see HQA Club did move further inside this zone. They did leave, and they actually went on ahead and took a compound that, again, is right on the bridge. I keep saying that, right when you know the zone like this is here, where you're not quite sure if it'll go north or south, you should set yourself up in a spot like that. No! Oh man, I feel cheated. N1Z, you're not supposed to do that. No, we were wondering where that second teammate was. It looks like he was up there to the northeastern side. So fair play. Unfortunately, that 1v1 won't happen though.
Ooh, but of course now Imperial X finding themselves in a little bit of a tricky position as well, as Sam is now the last remaining hopeful for the team left to try and rotate on through Go-To and Yusuf, also the two remaining hopefuls now for Team Aces here, as they still have a bit of ground to cover to make it all the way back into the safety of the zone, but they're going to have quite a bit of a challenge up ahead of them. So you can see the unknown just right up in front of them. Up comes Toxic. Ooh, could we see some of those shots? No. Go-To is going to look to go to zone. But first, let me have a bit of a splash.
Yeah, they're just taking a dip, you know, Go-To. I mean, the thing is that obviously these players can't see underneath that water, so they're not quite sure what Go-To is. So Go-To, honestly, he needs to just swim as far as possible, take a breath on the opposite side of this bridge here so that unknown Esports doesn't see him. But they're probably assuming at this point. They know where Go-To probably is. Yeah, there we go. Perfect spot for him to start taking a couple of breaths, but he needs to keep going. You gotta keep going at this point. Honestly, I probably would have gone down to the island on the southern side and kept moving that way, but seems like maybe Go-To wants to go ahead and take down unknown Esports. We'll wait and see. Oh, yeah, they're going for it. Oh no, yeah, they're looking for him.
Oh yeah, so Go-To just needs to keep swimming, but of course now up comes Peaceful. Ooh, up comes the shot. The first few hits finding their way on through, and I guess this could be the play. Ooh, but it does seem like unknown are actually leaving him behind and just rotating all the way back up into the zone.
Respectful, you know, they want to go ahead and focus on that macro play. I mean, there's some dangers trying to go on ahead and flush out a solo, right? Only if you know exactly where the solo is and if you're close enough to him that you should go on ahead and try and take up the solo. Otherwise, right when you lose sight of the solo, you're not 100% sure. Like, you don't want to go on ahead and face it off because the solo does have the power to completely mess up your game by taking down at least one or two of your team members. So them leaving, focusing on the rotations, you know, not a bad idea. It also looks like though the zone is much smaller once again, kind of pulling over towards this area where Goalie Gaming is currently fighting for their lives.
Well, yeah, it's going to be Goalie Gaming, it's going to be BU, Generation Z, as well as HQA Club now fighting for control of this northwestern side of the zone. But up comes Zolder, quickly pushing up to the teammate, trying to get that first res on through. Will they be able to bring Zeus back to life? We'll find out soon. But with that, of course, HQA Club getting eliminated as BU, Generation Z, and Guns and Guts step up to demolish them.
I didn't expect that whatsoever, but so many teams just being smushed up on the northern side of this zone here. I guess I'm not surprised. There definitely isn't cover from all angles, so some of these teams going to be getting a shot on them. It also looks like BA Generation Z has identified that there's at least one enemy in this water here, but little do they know potentially that there's actually two. So trying to toss out some nades, it looks like they're able to do a little bit of damage onto at least one of them from hometown, but N1Z is also right beside him. Oh, was that a good nade? Oh, still not quite. Yeah. Hometown's still up.
Yeah, not the best nade, but still a good nade. Of course, we do see a little bit of fishing coming in here as well now. Mario still trying to pick up a few of those hits. Does spot the vehicle, but unfortunately does not spot the players. Now moves into the water to get a little bit of a closer look. But Guns and Guts, look at the position they've got in the zone here, Span.
Yeah, no, that's why I made that noise. Guns and Guts, they have the only compound inside of this zone, basically. Look at all of the colors from all the teams on their northern side. I mean, that's insane. They have the perfect spot to hold out all of these guys up here. The only place that these guys can go is if they have some sort of a vehicle, and they obviously don't just yet. So this could be huge for Guns and Guts to kind of catch up on the points that they missed out on the first two games. Whoa, Jagga, no! I thought he had that for a millisecond. He was kind of tricking the member from N1Z, but unfortunately not. So that means hometown will be out. We have 10 teams still left up though.
Oh, I mean, this is going to be such a beautiful position for Guns and Guts. So they are able to just absolutely bully the rest of the team, still having to try and rotate up in towards the zone. But of course, it's still going to be quite a bit of a fight over in towards that waterway, as we can see a player there from B Generation Z stuck on the shoreline, still having to find a good, decent approach back on in. But Guns and Guts keeping a very watchful eye on both Everest down towards the south, as well as that waterway up towards the north. But here we see Goli now up on Everest, fighting for position alongside the players here from Unknown.
Yeah, looks like there's some fights happening on the north and the south. All I gotta say is 9 teams with 19 people alive. That is insane numbers there, but it does look like N1Z will go out and a couple more people going down. So now we have 8 teams, 18 people alive. A ton of nades now coming through from Unknown Esports onto Gully Gaming. It's just Leo left. BU Generation Z goes down too. Each team that goes down, more placement points are awarded to the next team. FIFA Vendetta, this is definitely the kill zone. And actually take a look at that minimap. This zone decided to pull back up towards Everest. Unknown Esports, this is honestly a great game for them to have. They just have to worry about, of course, Guns and Guts, a full team coming out of the compound to the north.
Yeah, this could be very well in the back for them. Of course, a beautiful trade-off coming in here from Leo as he pushes forward and... Oh, yes, indeed. Up comes Guns and Guts and shoots him in the butt. Down he goes. The hitless now getting ready to make their way towards the zone. But this is where things could potentially take a bit of a turn for the worse as the hitless start to try and push up the hill. But Guns and Guts just utilizing their compound, just leapfrogging their way further and further into a strong position. But here we go. Ooh, will those hits land all the way through? Look at that angle. I mean, Trickster and Carl just up ahead. 5 teams left to fight it out. But this could also still maybe swing in favor of the Unknown as they have a beautiful position, but they just need to try and deal with threats coming in here from Team Aces.
I demand an knock from Cher. That's all I have to say. That's all I expect from Guns and Guts at this point. But honestly, I actually love to see it. Leaving the back in the compound to the north, the rest of the 3 of them decide to push up to the northern side of this new zone. That's a pretty strong location for Guns and Guts to be able to go on ahead and take. Already 6 kills as well. Like, so far they're doing pretty well. The only thing that's a little bit concerning is that northern side is a little bit lower down than the rest of where these teams are. So they have to honestly play this pretty perfectly, making sure that none of these angles are going to kind of go on ahead and ruin this for them. Let's see though. Imperial X Esports, this solo could completely ruin this match for the hit list. So far, looks like he's doing so. It will actually go down to zone in the end.
Oh, that is so unfortunate. And with that, we are down to only 4 remaining teams. I have to agree. I want to see that AWAM shot come through. I want to see it all the way through to the end. Of course, Guns and Guts now just utilizing their numbers as they are the only team still sitting on 4 players alive. The Unknown sitting there with 3 players up. We got the Hitless sitting on 2. And of course, then Team Aces down to Go-To. But, I mean, Go-To could still be quite the bit of a problem for these remaining teams.
I mean, definitely. The thing I'm currently worried about is Guns and Guts. If Aces, if the solo spots one of them out, or even if that duo on the western side sees them, that could be really bad. Because even though they have 4 up, even a solo could completely ruin that for you. It does look like, however, they don't have to worry about Go-To from Aces, because instead Unknown Esports is deciding to clear that edge, which is also a really good thought for them to have. They know that they need to start getting towards the zone, and the best angle is a little bit more towards the southeastern side. And they just happen to run into a solo. They have to get rid of that person before this duo pushes them, or before the full 4-man gets to them.
Oh,
Nice.
Look at that. Peaceful steps up, claims the solo, and now has the opportunity to raise the rest of the team back into fighting form. But of course, the players here from Guns and Guts have a very controlling position and the controlling numbers moving into the space. With that, the hit list now loses yet another player, getting reduced down to only a solo. So it is going to be a 1v3v4 fight for this finish. But with that, Team Unknown get eliminated. So it's going to be a 1v4 play for the finish.
Oh man, and they find the last one as well. Guns and Guts win our last match of today. 10 kills and 1,477 damage. All I have to say, DK, is that Guns and Guts clearly heard our comments from the last 3 matches.
Well, no surprise really to see them come in with a winner chicken dinner and 10 kills on board. That is exactly what they did on the first match on Erangel over in towards the semis. So again, no surprise to see these teams absolutely performing their hearts out, and what a beautiful play that was. I mean, Guns and Guts just utilizing the zone to the fullest. They're utilizing those compounds just moving forward and just playing absolutely beautiful PUBG. I'm actually quite surprised that the unknown did not finish as strong as we would have hoped, because I mean they were over on Everest for the longest time, and that was actually a controlling position for quite some time.
My guess is that solo no duo at the very end there kind of messed it up for them. I mean, we saw Guns and Guts kind of crawling forward the entire time while they were trying to deal with the solo and the duo. So obviously that time was not good time for them to go ahead and lose. But you're right, that was really close for Unknown. All I have to say about Guns and Guts though is since they won that match and got 10 kills out of it, DK, honestly that basically saved them for today. Like, that means they're probably set up for tomorrow, but we'll know by taking a look at this leaderboard though, just to be sure that what I said isn't a complete and utter lie.
Well, we're about to find out what that leaderboard looks like. But yes, maybe that could be a bit of a saving grace for the players there from Guns and Guts, as we were waiting for them to step up and put some points on the board. And they did so in true PUBG fashion, clutching that final chicken dinner of the day. So yeah, let's head on over into the leaderboard to see where the teams are at, what the leaderboard looks like at the end of the day. 4 matches done and dusted, 2 Erangles, 1 Miramar, and of course Sanhok right up there in the mix. Any predictions before we head into that?
HQA Club still at the top is my prediction. We'll see though. We'll see though. Oh, well, look at that. Oh, only by 1 point though, actually. HQA Club continue to hold first, but with 59, 1 point below them is Unknown Esports. That's insane. If Unknown Esports just got 1 more kill or actually won that match versus Guns and Guts, completely different story. We knew that they're kind of going back and forth, so that close, insane. And last thing I'm going to point out before throwing it back to you, DK, is Guns and Guts no longer in that 16th place spot. They're now in 9th after that win.
Yeah, a beautiful leap coming in there from them, of course. Well, we are yet to see the same kind of play come through for all the players there from Hometown and potentially even HQA first, but absolutely beautiful jump coming in there from Unknown Esports, as you said. So close to HQA Club. I mean, they can almost taste it. That is how close they are. I mean, this is just absolutely ridiculous to see the teams in such close proximity. But of course, the hit list, they jumped now from 4th place up in towards 3rd. Team Aces moving from that 5th place up in towards 4th, and Imperial X getting moved from 3rd all the way down up in towards 5th place. Aside from that, we don't have too much of a change up coming in from the teams here, aside from N1Z jumping from 9th place up into 7th, B Generation Z from 10th place up into 8th, and of course we already spoke about Guns and Guts just leapfrogging their way up the leaderboard. But of course, straight out of Nepal, they were in 7th place before we got into this match. Now they find themselves all the way down in towards that 10th place, and already also game changes, also a little bit of a troubling position, but who knows? We still have 4 more matches to go. But speaking about the matches, we need to see who our MVP team is at the end of day 1 of the finals.
Yeah, well, you know, I was going to be all like, you know, it has to be HQA Club because that's what I said needed to happen. Otherwise, I'd be disappointed. So there they are. Once again, for the 4th time in a row, HQA Club grabbing that team MVP the entirety of the day. They got 39 kills and 7,141 damage. I mean, that is efficiency in its finest, honestly. HQA Club just absolutely dominated today. Gotta say, I am surprised though. Unknown Esports has to be right behind them though, with that 1 point difference.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. I do think that Unknown Esports is hard on their heels. But of course, speaking about heels, we need to have a look and see who our MVP players is. Of course, we know it was Bright up until this last match. Will Bright still be up in that MVP slot, or has he been taken? Oh, yes, indeed. He's been overtaken by GoTo.
Oh, wow. Yeah, looks like GoTo. He was able to survive the last one up for his team this last match, and it looks like that's what grabbed him MVP. I mean, 11 kills and 2,262 damage in a match. That is definitely MVP material, but that means Bright, he's been usurped, he's been dethroned. GoTo is now holding the MVP player spot.
Yeah, well, some pretty impressive performances coming through here from GoTo. As we can see, of course, 57.9%. Yes, I believe that is the contribution of GoTo to this overall standings of the team here for Team Aces. So some beautiful, beautiful plays coming through here, and absolutely some surprising PUBG action happening. I mean, we came into today not really knowing what to expect, as we've been seeing a bit of a back and forth for the teams from the qualifiers up in towards the semis, but now moving up into the finals, it all comes together. It'll all being put together so beautifully. But this makes me so excited about tomorrow, because today has already been quite a bit of a change up. Tomorrow we could potentially see even more of a mix-up, and who knows, maybe one of those dark horse teams could be looking to step up and just maybe getting a bit of a rush up on towards that left-hand side, potentially even contending for one of those top positions.
Gotta say, I mean, 13th place all the way to, I think it was 4th place. Honestly, all of that tomorrow can change in just in 4 matches. So there's still a lot that's going to be moving around tomorrow. So every single match tomorrow is obviously going to matter.
Yeah, all the points, all the kills, all those positions are going to be of absolute concern to all the teams here. And of course, we are going to be continuing with the action once again tomorrow as we head into our final day of the final. So we got to thank everyone first for being here. Thanks to all the viewers for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. Of course, a big shout out going to all the teams. Absolutely beautiful gameplay. And of course, big shout out to the production team as well as you, Span. Thank you so much. It has been an absolute blast once again. But with that, we are going to love and leave you. Hope to see you all back again tomorrow for the final day right here on the North American Campus Series. Be sure to stay tuned. I'll see you back tomorrow.
been reading books of old, the legends and the myths, Achilles and his gold, Hercules and his gifts, Spider-Man's control, and Batman with his fits. And clearly I don't see myself upon that list. But she said, where'd you wanna go? How much you wanna risk? I'm not looking for somebody with some superhuman gifts, some superhero, some fairy tale bliss. Just something I can turn to, somebody I can kiss. I want something just like this. I want something just like this. I want something just like this. I've been reading books of old, the legends and the myths, the testaments they told, the moon and its eclipse, and Superman unrolls a suit before he lifts. But I'm not the kind of person that it fits. She said, where'd you wanna go? How much you wanna risk? I'm not looking for somebody with some superhuman